Good evening. Welcome to Tiger Council Work Session, April 4th, 2019. Can I get a roll call?
Buckle present.
Holloway present.
Bennett present.
Brandon present.
Wilson present.
Burge present.
Let me know established. First on the order of business is the nonprofit organization's funding request. First we have Cape Charles Historical Society.
Can we let Renata go first? She has play practice tonight, so if we could let her go first, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome, love. I know you need to get as quickly as possible. Yes, I didn't get just dressed up just to present experimental.
Oh, that's an X right there.
Although, I haven't lost it totally. So I'm here to request funding for Experimental for Virginia, and I want to thank you for your past support of the event and organization, but I also want to make a case for where we should be going in the future, because I would like to see in the next fiscal year, 2021, that we are moving up towards a standard 15 to 20% of our annual budget, because of what Experimental for Virginia is and what it does and can bring to the town if we further develop it. This year I'm requesting just 10% of our total budget, operating budget, not even the total budget, because I didn't count the in-kind in that amount. And I want to just remind us and make the case and also express my desire to work very collaboratively with the Main Street program and other initiatives about developing the brand and identity of Cape Charles and using the power of social media and the incredible content that we create. Because we have over 50 artists from all over the world who are living, eating, shopping, and experiencing Cape Charles, and they write about it and post about it. And they are all trained photographers and videographers, so this is basically free content. And we should be working collaboratively, and I would like to do a better job myself of offering this material to the town and to the Main Street program. And I want to just say that now, that this is where we should be going, so that some of that money that you would be donating as a town would be coming back to the town because of our joint mission in social media and the branding. That should be an aligned program with Main Street, with Cape Charles, Virginia's Cape, and Experimental from Virginia, which is an extremely unique program, the only one of its kind. I say in the state of Virginia, but actually in the world, because there's nobody crazy enough to make 15 films in 2 weeks and combine this artist residency and film festival model. And this is a prime moment in this area. As you hopefully have heard, there is a new initiative by Pharrell Williams called Something's in the Water. And it is a huge, large-scale music festival that's happening in Virginia Beach at the end of April. And they're expecting over 200,000 people to be attending this event. And Pharrell Williams has said that he wants to make Virginia a destination spot for film. So I have been in contact with the people in the Vibe District in Virginia Beach and the Neon Arts District in Norfolk, and talking behind the scenes with key people who are behind this initiative to start a film festival here. And I think Experimental Film Virginia can play a crucial role in bringing a very unique European indie experimental film aspect to this film festival that's going to get really big. So we need to get our act together now, have a very strong brand, make our program strong, so that probably in the next 2 years, as this film initiative grows across the Bay, that we are ready for it. And we have our program and our identity ready to go so that we can catch the bandwagon and actually be a part of moving it. So some things that are happening actively for this year. I know that I have spoken to you before about this love sign, and I understand that there's concern about having a second love sign. So I've been in dialogue with some people in Norfolk Arts District who have a specialization in murals, and Stacy Martin with the Virginia Tourism Corporation. And we have decided that the best alternative to this would be to paint a mural on the wall of the Lemon Tree building and do a love sign mural. And Stacy said that would be perfectly acceptable. And then I thought, what if we also do some neon lights and create a sort of lighting installation there that will also be attached to the wall. So that's something I would like to get. I don't know exactly how that works since it's a private property, but I imagine it should be in coordination with the town. So we would like to do this. I'd like to propose that as something that we launch for this year's festival. You know, a new mural, the first mural in the town, and have some lighting associated with that. Great photo op, and I think kind
So
of.
you'll still apply though for the 1,500 Love Works grant?
We've already been given it.
Okay.
So I would just have to send out updates saying that we've discussed with the town, instead of doing it on Strawberry Street, which is where I had originally proposed, pending town approval, and then just say that Stacey Martin gave me the correct words to use to say why it was changed, but just tell them that we've changed our mind about it for a better alternative, blah, blah, blah. And that this year we have some Hollywood celebrities coming. I don't know if you watched The Duke of Earl or know the actor Eddie Steeples, but he's going to be coming to my film, and that's very exciting. As is Matthew Lee Earlbach, who is a writer for HBO and wrote for the TV show Masters of Sex. I don't know if you've watched that. It's a very good show. Just a recent title. And our goal, of course, to continue to expand the program, the attendance, and develop this very, very niche and hopefully appreciated event with 3 back-to-back art social weekends. This year, the launching party will happen at the Historic Palace Theatre with a show with this amazing dance company from Italy. And then will be a meet and greet with the artists. Everybody will be here. We held this event in Norfolk last year, but I want to bring it back into the town, into our theater, and really let people experience. It's been updated, it's all new, and we want people to also have a chance to meet this company and expose everyone to the arts and this very high caliber of artists that we're bringing in, and hopefully this can inspire our youth. And every day we have classes and open it up to the public so that our young artists get a chance also to join in and experience this 2 weeks of art making and filmmaking. Real and Raw on the Road, this is another idea that we had, is we have all these films, a lot of them are centered around Eastern Shore life. We have this thing, the Real and Raw, it is centered around oyster, the rawness of our films because they're fresh off the press, but also the idea of an oyster and having it year-round. And I'd love to see these films shown at some of these oyster roasts that we do, and have it be a brand that we build so that we can get everyone on the same page, collaborating and doing a lot more cross-programming. Just a few minutes before this meeting, we already had about 5 ideas going between the Historic Society and the Bed and Breakfast and the Cape Charles Business Association. So I know that when we put our heads together and start thinking about how we can leverage the funds that are given to us, that we can really take these programs far. And I promise you that if you grant us the $10,000 next year as a step towards arriving at 20%, I know that's a big number, but we can really do a lot with those tourist dollars. And already that money is coming back to the town because these people do live here. I pay for the housing, and that money goes back into our top tax. They're eating at our restaurants. Not only are they posting about it and sharing their experience, but that's money that goes right back into our local economy. And they're shopping and still blogging about Brown Dog Eatery and all this kind of thing. And I would love to just grow that brand and grow that collective experience of what these artists do and say and how they express their experience, the Cape Charles experience. There's a lot of ideas, a lot of things we can develop. I think it's just important that we touch base, and I'm very available for any questions and feedback. If you have any data on, or the ability to track Experimental Film Virginia spending and even see if there's a number that we can see and arrive at for every year, how much money is Experimental Film Virginia bringing into the town, so that we have some numbers to track and motivation to improve the way that we perform. I'm very, very willing to look at that data to get into the finances of it and to just make something that's very sustainable and financially viable model so that we can rock it. I think that's pretty much all I have to say. I wrote a lot, so you can look through it. I want to make a strong case for shifting our budget to $10,000 this year instead of $5,000, which we've been very grateful for. And to lastly, just make the distinction that the reason that we do need to put more money is that this is a scalable project. And it's important for us as a town to support events that happen. But this project is designed to be scalable and to have the money that's put into it be proportionately increasing with high performance of social media and attendance. It's not something that has a glass ceiling and a cap on it. This can go far. And that's not in any way, of course, I'm involved in the art center / gear, nonprofits, and providing education. I teach the students here. I'm dressed for my play, which I hope you'll come see this weekend. Rumors, it's really funny. I play crazy, jealous wife of a politician. And it's a great cast. But those are projects that we need to support. And those are projects that need living here, a rich experience for our youth and for our community. Experimental Virginia does that, and it can also bring new attention, new economic power, while still respecting the Eastern Shore and not bringing people here full-time, but really harnessing the summer tourist season so that we can sustain our economy, but not change too much the nature and the flavor of this place that I know we all love and respect. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? I do have one comment.
Yes.
Probably want to get with Zach on the love sign, lights and stuff.
Probably want to what?
Get with Zach, our time planner on the love sign, zero lights and stuff.
Okay. I will speak to Zach. Yeah, I'd love to have that. I'd love to launch that at our launching party. And have a nice photo op, or perhaps Stacey even said we could do it a week or two before and try to get some of the some politicians and people who are running for re-election to show up and kind of make a little bit of an extra big deal about it. So Stacey's working with us to try and position that. So if the town gives us the go-ahead, then we can start designing it and getting the artists geared up to propose some designs. Does that mean I can plan the left side?
You need to go through process. Again, you need to talk to the owner of the building.
We own the building.
Okay, but I'm saying you got the historic review board that may have to pass judgment, so Zach could walk you through the steps.
Okay, so
Just go through Zach.
Zach can then say yes or no, and then we can go.
He'll tell you the steps that you'll have to go through.
Yes.
It's a process.
Okay, I'll talk to Zach.
He's powerful, but we limit his span.
Well, I'll start with Zach, I understand.
Yes.
Renato, I know all of us would be remiss if we didn't say that the experimental film has put Charles on the map over the years, and it's been very exciting to see it grow into where it is now. So I would personally say this to thank you and the whole group of folks who worked with us over the years, and wish you every success in it. I'm sure here that the board has felt like that was important. We have lots of needs, of course, and everybody wants things, but saying thanks doesn't cost anything. So I want to be sure that you guys know that I'm very appreciative for what you've done.
Thank you.
I think most everybody here is saying the same.
Well, thank you for saying that, and I hope that we can start aligning our needs to leveraging the limited funds that we do have so that our efforts can benefit
Right.
multiple organizations and initiatives. So please always feel free to approach me with ideas and constructive criticisms as well. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please come see the play. I'm going to leave these flyers here. Thank you very much.
All right.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you. You too.
I think I can just make my entrance. All right, thanks.
So I gave you lots of pieces of paper, and I promised that we would use the time to answer your questions. Meanwhile, I've got a few things to say to you. Let's start with any questions that you have. No questions? You should have a write-up about it. I'm not going to read it again. You should have that. And P&Ls, you don't have that? You don't have the request for time?
It's here, if that's.
Oh, is it back in the Dropbox?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's a letter, right.
All right, well, I'm not going to read it because it takes too long. Anyway, we were asking for $20,000 because our museum building, which is the Welcome Center, as well has been since 1997, required an enormous amount of work, $54,500, which we borrowed from ourselves. And the point of asking the town for 20,000 is because we have an opportunity to get a challenge grant from the Morgan Foundation, in which we've asked them for 27. We have to match that. And this would be a major component of the match. This is the sensible way to get our money back that we spend on the building. And as you know, it's not only the building with the great railroad opportunity to get the railroad cars, that has added to our expenses. Just moving them is about 7,000. Then we're going to move the pilot house, that's 15,000. And that's all in the papers that I provided you. And that is the reason why we want the 20,000. We have spent about 300,000 on that building since we acquired it in 1993. And so we put a new roof, and that's all in here too. So the idea being that it will last for many years, and we'll have a museum and welcome center. And I should mention that we are the only town with a welcome center. We've got the one at the Bridge Tunnel, of course. And Hancock has no welcome center. They've tried to have one. The other towns don't have one either. We are your welcome center for the town. And between April and November, we averaged 20 people a day going through there. And they go through the museum, and then they continue into town, and they buy and enjoy the place. I hope you've seen the exhibit on the Wilton Hall School. If you haven't seen that exhibit, do go and see it. It is so incredible that this school has functioned for what, 30 or 40 years, and we still have the people here that went to that school. And we had a school visit from Northampton High School last week, and we had the alumni there, and the kids asked, well, what was it like, and what was it like in segregation? Gee, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, and if you were bad, what happened? And it was just wonderful. And the exhibit is very educational. It's also beautiful. I can say that because Kim made it. I didn't do it. I didn't do the words. But it is truly a work of art, and you will enjoy seeing it. But we need to get our money back. And if you looked at the balance sheet, you can see that we're down to about $42,000. A lot of that is our endowment. And if you looked at that a year ago, it would have said $90,000. So we have to get the money back so we continue the railroad work and continue all the things that we have to do to keep that building going. I'll see the rest of the time to do.
I'll kind of step in there because part of the research that I have done shows that studies by Oxford Economics and the Andrew F. Mellon Foundation reveal that every $100 of economic activity generated by a museum actually generates $220 in other sectors. That makes museums like ours powerful economic drivers. 1/3 of this impact is actually seen in tourism, the leisure, and hospitality industries. So it's really important to Cape Charles. To scale it to Cape Charles, last year our expenditures totaled $71,730, which means the museum contributed approximately $172,418 to our economy. And that doesn't even include the farmers market. Because of the railroad acquisition, we've already invested far more than that just in this year alone. We have invested more than $88,000. That's an investment that we've made in our community and in our process. Over the last 3 years, the museum has seen almost 13,500 visitors, not including the farmers market. The farmers market has seen more than 20,000 people in 3 years. Now, a lot of those are return visits. You know, we get the same people who come back week after week, but those are still discrete people talking about our space. We preserve, protect, and tell the stories of Cape Charles and the surrounding region, providing valuable educational and leisure opportunities to residents and visitors. We've brought world-class exhibitions to the town, like the 2017 Smithsonian Traveling Exhibition, Waterways. Last year, as Mary mentioned, we installed Building a Community, the Cape Charles Elementary Rosenwald School. That's an original project that tells our regional and national civil rights history through our local experiences. Just last week, we hosted the 11th graders from Northampton. Next Thursdays, we have the 4th graders from Kittapee. Former students and teachers from the Cape Charles Elementary are on site during the time to tell about their lived experience with the community during legal segregation. I will tell you that last Saturday night, someone dropped a racist screed on the museum's driveway. I understand that these KKK-sponsored leaflets showed up and down the Eastern Shore over the weekend. I think this highlights how important this exhibition and these conversations continue to be, and why this is so relevant to our community going forward. The Cape Charles Historical Society has decided to leave the exhibition in place throughout this year to further this conversation, and education, so please visit. However, we're more than that. We are the Cape Charles Museum and Welcome Center, and we have been for over 20 years. We've taken great strides in the last 4 years to grow into a real community partner. We sponsor the Farmers Market, which is a valuable local venue that serves as an incubator for local entrepreneurs. You're seeing one now set up a bricks and mortar store on Mason. That's Louise Orlando. She has the bakery on Mason. We also are seen as a real amenity, not only by our townspeople, but also by the tourists. And we drive the economy, the local economy. All of our vendors, all of our artisans are from a 100-mile radius. Most of them are from Northampton County. So we have instituted a SNAP program that allows us to serve low-income and disabled residents by accepting food benefits at the market. And we have created a Double Up Bucks program that allows them to match their money with our money so they can spend $10 to get 20 homes of food. We have also partnered with the Eastern Shore of Virginia Broadband Authority to bring a free high-speed community hotspot to our site. It is available 24/7 to residents and visitors alike. It also serves much of Heritage Acres by default because the antenna is that powerful. So, you know, that's an important thing that we're doing. Our board has also approved the town's proposal that we were working on to route the golf cart path through our site instead of along the easement behind our site, which will connect directly to Fig Street behind Rayfields. It's going to save the town a lot of work because it's just like straight across instead of the grading work and everything that would have to be done to run it down onto the railroad and back up. More than 80% of our visitors are not from the Eastern Shore, and more than 60% are not even regional. Their primary interest is information not only about Cape Charles' past, but about Cape Charles' present. They want to know where to eat, where to shop, where to sleep, sightsee, and so much more. In order to function effectively in all of our roles, we really do need your support. We are Cape Charles' Welcome Center. We need to be able to afford to keep our door open the entire business day. We need the town's help with ongoing maintenance tasks like landscaping and lawn work. We need to be able to present a more polished local information kind of presentation. Basically, we need you to help us help Cape Charles keep growing. And remember that for every dollar you invest, you're going to get $2.20 back. Do you guys have any questions for us? Me or Marion, or both of us?
No, I think your submittal here very detailed, so
Marion is amazing. You know, when I started working, it was like I had it was like I had been working there for years because she had kept such detailed records so far back that
I could look up, information from 5 years before I even got in there. It really gave me a big head start. So, anything else?
Thank you for keeping the Rosenwald School exhibit. It's a very important and powerful step. I appreciate that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cape Charters Volunteer Fire Company, Billy's not gonna be here tonight, real quick. They're asking to continue to pass through VD FP funds, $10,000. They're asking to continue the assessment of the fire tax levy on building permits. They're asking to continue $25,000 general contribution that we have done in the past. And they'd like to add an additional $10,000 this year. They're asking for an additional $10,000 this year for the purchase of 5 sets of turnout gear, priced at $2,000 per set. Their turnout gear is between 8 and 12 years old. They have about 15 active firefighters, and they would like to request this amount for the next 3 years to replace them. They also tax their profit and loss in the balance sheets. Citizens for Central Park, we heard from them a couple months ago. I don't know if Hank, you want to get up, say a couple words, or?
I'm just here to, if you have any questions. We did a presentation in October.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Mayor on? They did a presentation about a month or so ago. And also attached is a letter from the ES Spay Organization, the Social Spay Organization, for a request.
Do you have any questions on that? Sandy made a presentation 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, she made a presentation.
Is it appropriate to ask or to mention, I think when the council's received a couple of letters this week subsequent to the presentation from the last meeting before last, or whatever that was now, concern about feeding animals. Did you guys have any response further about that? Or I don't mean to put you on the spot, but we just had it this week. We just need some more comments about that. Not on the spay component, but the feeding component.
The feeding component, the feeding component is an issue. It's a broad issue. It's more than the handful of us in our SO. There are probably a couple hundred cats here in town. There are many people who have multiple cats who feed cats, whether they're theirs or they're just strays. The specific issue with regard to a couple of the residents who've been raising a very large voice about feeding cats around the Strawberry Street area. Sandy and Mayor Smitty have, I think, been exchanging emails or messages. I think to solve the feeding problem, what the residents are really asking for is that the cats be removed from the town. We've had a couple people actually tell us that they want all the cats removed and they're going to remove them. I think that the town has property by the water tower, by Public Works, and some other areas where many of those cats, or some of those cats, could be moved to and get them out of the dense residential areas where people are complaining about them. But it's not something that SO or a handful of us individually can do by ourselves. It really has to be something that if the town is concerned about it, the town has to help. It's not something, I mean, the only other choice is to try and get the county or somebody to trap them all and kill them. I mean, there's no place to take them to outside of town. I mean, the Eastern Shore is full of feral cats.
Well, I think, excuse me, I think, I think the first step is maybe just stop feeding them. Just stop feeding them. See what happens to them. They'll go somewhere else for food if you're not getting fed. I mean, I understand, I know.
I mean,
It sounds very cruel, but they will survive.
I was alarmed by the photograph.
like I said, it's not just
Fox
sand.
or coyotes.
No, I understand that, I understand that, but it's, I get that, there's a lot of people in town that feeds a lot of cats, I understand.
Yeah, I was alarmed to see the photograph of either fox or coyote.
It was a fox.
Fox, looked like a fox to me.
I saw the fox right out here the other
It
day.
was a fox.
Yeah. Also, they're attracted, I had that a long time ago for myself, not here, but eating our dogs.
I think that the feeding issue is a separate issue than your support for ESSO. The feeding issue is one that I think we're very willing to help with, but it's not really a feeding issue. The issue is that people don't want the cats. They want to get rid of them. So it's not, see, maybe it's visible because somebody's feeding them, but what the issue really is they want to get rid of the cats. The cats have to go someplace.
Unfortunately, I think it's a double-edged sword because the feeding, we're getting a lot of people from outside of town know that they don't want their cat, they have a place they can take it, someone's gonna take care of it, they bring it here. It's a double-edged sword we have to deal with, when it really comes down to it, because for the length of time you guys have been doing all the spay and neuter, which has been a long time, it doesn't seem like the colony is reducing in any size. It seems to be growing. I know that even my ex Hattie, she took a lot of the cats up to, a lot of the kittens got moved up to DC area because she has connections up there. I don't know if she's still brother or not, but I mean, I know a lot of the kittens were getting moved out of here, but it's just,
Sandy's been taking.
yeah. It almost seems like a double-edged sword because people see it happening here, so they end up bringing them here because they know they're gonna get taken care of, which is, it's not really reducing anything, so it's a tough thing to see, it really is. I mean, that's just what I'm seeing, I lived over there for a long time.
Well, I think we have to put ourselves in other people's situations. If it's right next to your property and it's become a feeding station, as opposed to just one or two paths. They're large areas of them, and if that were next door to me and what that was happening, I would be concerned. And I think we have to put ourselves in a resident situation of doing that. And what is that solution? I don't know that solution, but if that's really what is coming down to, is someone's bought a property and renovated a property and worked hard on it, and there's a feeding station that is adjacent to their now, next to their yard. That seems to be one of the biggest areas of concern.
But again, I mean, you can say, stop feeding, and the cats will still be here, and the cats may start to cause greater damage than people have claimed they have. So that's an issue. And as I said, I believe that you need to separate this feeding issue and cats in town from what ESSO does, which is spay neuter. If we don't continue to do spay neuter, you're going to have an increase. And the other is that in doing that, they're all tested. If they're sick, they're removed immediately, and every one of them gets a rabies shot.
If I recall, Hank, I think we asked Sandy for information for this current fiscal year on how many cats, dogs were spayed and neutered in Cape Charles. I don't see that in our report.
It's hard to identify specifically which ones are in Cape Charles.
Well, and the reason why I'm asking, and this is coming solely from me, I'm not speaking on anybody else here, this is from my knowledge. If we're gonna pay $1,500, I wanna know what that $1,500, how it's benefiting Cape Charles. I don't really care how it's benefiting Sheraton, and I'll say that I really don't. I care how it's benefiting Cape Charles. And so those are numbers you need to document. It's benefit Cape Charles. How many times has a spay neuter truck come in Cape Charles? And not Sheraton or not the Edgewood. I want to know why, how it's benefiting our town.
If
That's
you
why,
want-
that's me, again, that's me just speaking.
If you want to put a restriction on it so that we need to provide you with information of how the money is used this year. We haven't retained, we don't collect records as to where people live. So in the early years, it was very, very heavily coming out of Cape Charles because that's where we were. The van was here and then we moved it over to Cherokee, but it was still very much coming out of the Cape Charles area. We know that there are at least 4 areas here in town where there are colonies of feral cats that people are feeding and that they need to be spayed and given rabies shots. We can use that $1,500 selectively throughout 30 cats, about $50 a cat with the testing and shots.
So that, those 30 haven't been spay and neutered yet, the feral cats that are being fed? Is that what?
There's, yeah, there's more than 30 of those. We think within those 4 places, there's at least 30. There's still many, many cats. There's a couple hundred cats in here.
I got another 5 that's taking up residence between City Hall and my house. So we'll be addressing that too.
Yeah.
You got the apartments out by the water, you got Heritage Acres, there's clusters of them.
Well,
So that's that many more that still need to be spay and neutered.
Right. So it would be, if that's what you would like us to do, and I don't think we'd have any problem with it, we would selectively use that $1,500 to essentially spay and neuter 30 cats from here in the Cape Charles area.
I think, again, I've done a lot of research on cats in the last couple months. And from what I've read and stuff, again, the spay, trap, neuter program works. It's just, it works better when the F is not added on the end. And I don't have a problem with the spay, neuter release to try to diminish the thing. I just feed the cats, continue feeding the cats, I think just put more cats.
There's a lot of other parts to it that you don't see, or aren't part of what we call TNR. We've moved probably 200 kittens across the shore over the 7 years. So they don't reproduce, they don't add to the population here. When we see an animal that is sick, we will try to trap it and take it to a vet, and if it's really sick, we'll have it euthanized. Otherwise, we're paying for it to be better. Those are all coming, that's all coming out of the funds we raise. So as I've mentioned before, we've raised a total of about $30,000 in the last 4 years for these projects. A lot of different sources. Your money is coming from a public government, is matched by the Two Wands Foundation. So it enables us to do double the work.
I would just ask, are the cats getting less? I mean, I've sat here and listened to cats forever. It's even more upsetting than basketball courts. But nothing seems to be happening. We still constantly get complaints about cats. It's unending. So I would say come up with something that will reduce the tensions.
The tension is largely because the cats are here. As I've said, I think that the solution is to move some of the colonies out of the residential areas. The town has property at Public Works. They've been helpful and friendly to having some of the cats over there behind Rayfields and Public Works. There's the water tower property. You can't make cats stay unless you feed them. But that's a way to gradually move them out of some of the areas that people are most concerned about. I mean, we're still dealing with the cats that were under the on Plum Street, in an abandoned house, the group of cats that were part of the mobile homes. populations of cats scattered around town. They will remain whether they feed them or not. They may die off faster, but I think one of the things that I would promote is to look at ways to move some of those cats. You would normally take them to a farm, you could take them someplace else, is to take them to some property that isn't residential and won't cause damage. And we would need the town's assistance.
Tired of talking about.
Can I jump back and say thanks for all the work on Central Park and for all of you guys. That kind of sped over me and I do not want that to go unnoticed. All the work citizens for Central Park done is awesome and we're very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, up next, Cumberland. 2020 proposed budget, general fund revenue, department operating budgets, enterprise funds, and capital matters.
Keep it away.
All right,
Well, we've got some more sheets.
Can we have just a kind of order that, like, do we put this in the budget and then vote it out and it takes the place of, I'm just trying to figure out stuff.
They will take the place of more of what you've already got.
that's what I'm going to do.
Yes, they do.
So the best off just
And be careful with tabs, because this is front and back. In the book, it's not, so the tab is not going to fit in.
I didn't realize that, she just printed them and
Right.
handed them to me, I didn't look.
What's wrong?
Oh, yeah, I see that.
These should.
Well,
sheets up
she
front.
gave them to me with two times 3 holes in them, so they figured that well. I didn't have a chance to look through them all.
Well, again, just for the sake of the new pack, that's okay.
Just want to make sure we're on the follow.
Housekeeping, for the sake of the new pack, the capital project sheet starts, this is capital projects, which is maybe midway through the pack. Municipal corporation, it's table, it's laid out vertical, or portrait. Municipal corporation, Cape Charles summary proposed capital projects by funds 20, fiscal year 20.
So last laid out.
No,
This is the, okay.
it's the new packet.
Oh, the new pack.
The new packet, yep, for the sake of the new packet,
And it's after page 132, 33. That's 33.
right.
Just put it right in front, and I'll sort through it.
Well, for the sake of housekeeping,
Okay.
for the sake of housekeeping, the new packet is, if you take from behind page 33 to the end, that's the new, everything that needs to go behind the tab for capital projects.
Ah, gotcha.
Right.
We can take this other stuff out.
Except for this first portion.
First portion is other stuff, that's correct. Up to page 32 is other stuff. Up to page 32, you've got the department expenditure sheets.
I don't know what page.
So,
Two page numbers.
They're not.
There are page numbers.
Okay.
I don't make it up.
No, this
She
is
doesn't have her iPad.
No,
It's not the iPad.
See, look, you go to the new packet.
I'm in the new packet.
Okay, go, it's,
I've got that
Once you
packet.
get- once you get past the first three
behind
pages.
this
Right,
packet.
that's the capital.
On top of everything else.
That's the
It's in
capital. That's the capital.
Okay, I got it.
And then from the pie chart back, the pages are numbered.
this is it.
They really are.
Yeah.
Got it. I see that.
To page 33. So those are going to be the individual department expenditure sheets.
Okay.
The pie chart is the new budget revenues by sources. General fund expenditures by type is the next pie chart. And then you've got the overall funds and department expenditure sheet, which is,
May I ask a question?
yes, Ken. We were just doing housekeeping.
I know, okay, finish your housekeeping.
Well,
No,
that's the housekeeping.
This is part of housekeeping.
Can you take
A
this all
lot
out?
of these look exactly the same as I flipped through them. So what is the purpose of this?
She didn't want to print out, well, it's easier for her to print out the entire document rather than just page inserts.
Well, all my notes are on D.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
right.
This is the whole thing began.
Yes.
capital projects, the biggest change is you've got an I&I project in there. All right, well, wherever you want to start, you want to start with what's new, because we've all had this ironed out for 2 weeks.
Yes.
All right, in fact, more than that from March 1st, because the binder was delivered beginning of March, for the March 1st deadline. A lot of it hasn't changed. All right, most of it in fact hasn't changed. There's at least one new capital project, which is the I&I, which has its own project sheet, and which is shown up on the, again, the tabular sheet laid up, portrait or vertically, which shows the other projects as well as under the general fund, because the stormwater, which is not a utility, is under this new, and it's even highlighted as new, next to a whole bunch. Storm drain, closed circuit television, and mapping, $30,000. For the most part, the rest of those capital projects are as they appeared initially. The utility funds, no change. Harbor funds, no change. Sanitation funds, no change. So that's where we are as far as the new capital projects. Otherwise, the sheets are the same, save for the I&I sheet, which you've also got. The departments are the new working budget page. Those are, again, sheets, those are pages 1 through 33. So if there's anything by way of line items in each one of the departments that needs to be looked at, and that's the current budget year relative to the requested for the 2020 budget year and what changes and any cuts. So that's the operational budget. So pages 1 to 33 are the operational budget. Everything behind page 33 is the capital budget. And more than that,
Well, okay.
I can explain it, I can explain it, but, you know.
Is the capital budget, but those items for this coming year are pulled into the operating budget?
Yeah,
So the capital is within here as well.
Yes.
So operating. Yes.
Right, and that's why like some of the operational departments have these huge lines, and that's why if you look at the harbor budget to date, the current fiscal year they spent down 24%, because the big ticket item is the breakwater. So you've got this enormous capital project sitting in there and basically an operational budget too.
I see what's going on. What's confusing for me is I got duplicates and then the fact that finance backs up to town manager, so president of record versus manager.
Thank you, Larry, for putting all this together.
I got it.
This
I
makes-
got it.
I mean, having a couple of versions is to be expected, but that's helpful. Matt, is it okay if we just ask some general questions? Not anything specific?
Yeah, what I would like to do is I'm sure all of you have highlighted things you would like to talk about, and probably some of you, they match with somebody else.
Oh, second with second.
So, yeah, I think maybe we just start off with section 1, Larry?
Wherever you want to start, I'm good. I can explain wherever you want to start. It doesn't really matter.
All right, let's do this left to right, my left. We'll start with section 1, which is general fund. And we'll start with
Andy,
Go ahead.
that's very distracting.
It wasn't me, Dad.
I'm distracting.
Yes.
Sorry.
And did you have any questions? Tammy?
I'm just trying to.
Section 1, general fund, revenue,
Page 1.
page 1. I'm gonna just go by the old pages. And then I'll compare.
Well, are we looking at the old material or are we looking at the new material?
Yeah.
We have to do side by side.
Yeah, you can do something, son. I got it.
Okay.
okay with that?
No.
Steve?
I don't think it's going to work.
Okay.
Page one, no, I don't have any questions on page one. This is gonna take a long time.
No, yeah, it is. I'll write the whole, what we got, general fund, let's do the first section.
We've been modest on the projections for revenue increases.
Yeah.
Very modest on projections for revenue increases. Some of the lines is, and you see, and every month and the years to date, some of the lines have gone very well. Not the least of which is meals tax and top tax. What we put in there is a relatively modest increase for both, which you find on page 2. The top tax is an increase of 3.9%, but on meals tax it's an increase of 13% that's projected. And that's due to the increased number of restaurants around town. Also, we've had a few of them that are going to be staying year open. They've demonstrated that they are year-round open establishments, not just summer establishments. So that number, which budgeted this year is $500,000. The next year's budget is $565,000. That's not an insignificant increase. We're confident that we'll reach it up. Also, every time a restaurant ups their price, that's a net benefit as well. So the rest of the projections are again relatively modest. You'll see that some of the fees, again, that's the top page 2. In the numbers, if you look at the account number, that's the last 4 digits. 1050, 1060, 1070. Those numbers are up because there's projections for the fees to be increased as well. And the reasons to increase the fees are, one, we have a lot more of them. They're much more time consuming. These are all particular benefits, not general benefits. So if someone's looking to get a particular benefit for their property, everyone else shouldn't have to subsidize it. We've got typically now 3 different departments involved in generating some of these applications: planning, building, and finance. So these are not, and the clerk's office always generates the packets. These are not insignificant expenditures of staff time. And $100 an application for multiple hours of staff time, frankly, just doesn't cut it. And frankly, everyone else shouldn't be subsidizing that. We should try and capture that cost as best as possible. When the packet comes out for the meeting on the 11th, tomorrow, you'll see what since August of last year, so the last 8 months worth of advertisements for particular benefits for public hearing cost. If we're paying $233 for an advertisement in the paper, and we're charging $100 for an application fee, you don't need to be good at math. And those are all, again, particular benefits, not public benefits. When we put an advertisement out for a text amendment, everybody benefits that. When we put an application out for an accessory dwelling unit above garage, that's a particular benefit. That cost should be captured by the particular person looking to benefit from. So that's why those numbers are, and that's why those percentages are, in one case, 900% increase, 1,066% increase, and that's because it's been a bargain. And also, if you look, we've been budgeting like $250 for a zoning variance mailing fee. Well, that gets shot pretty quickly. So those are just some things on the revenue side relative to on the permits. Basically, all the permit fees are going to go up. You'll see that, or recommended to go up. You'll see that in the pack for tomorrow. Scroll down. Looks like we're going to be doing a little bit better on things like bank interest. In fact, kind of substantially better on things like bank interest.
I got a question. So they don't see, the building commission don't see any increase whatsoever?
Well,
That's kind of nuts.
it is a little. I don't think the building, though that's the plan review, the 1,400.
No, 1110.
1110.
You got 55,000 for, and there's no increase, so we're going to basically say status quo on building permits?
I doubt that.
That's what I mean.
I doubt that.
I would think that would be some sort of modest increase.
Have we hit the 50, were we
No.
at here, 55?
No, I think we're about, I looked at that number this morning, 34,000 maybe? No, it's not perfect busy season either.
Yeah, I know, but
I think those three in
I
March.
understand that 55.
Yeah, but you got two of the business seasons coming up, so still pulling permits right now.
I get that, but that's, again,
I'm talking for 20.
no, I know what you're talking about, but I'm just saying, I prefer, if we're at 34 and we're in March, and that's budgeted 55 this year, I would prefer not to have 65 or 70 in there until we hit 55.
And that may have been the treasurer's thinking as well. But again, I think that there's a lag on that number. We are in some permanent concern. But again, fair question. Again, you'll notice 1,800 on page 3 is the lease for the shanty. That's actually budgeted to go down relative to the state legislation that requires the diminution and the extraction. So that's what that 7%, minus 7% comes in. The rest of those numbers are basically static.
Does anybody else know what that means?
To lose money. We
why?
have to, well, because of public lease, we have to, lower that
The assessment's going to change.
assessment.
The assessment's going to change by the Commission of the Revenue.
Right.
Over a schedule that they set, okay, for what the value
Right.
of that structure is going to be.
Yes.
And then that's going to change what they pay.
I remember, yes, thank you.
Right, so that's where that comes from. Okay. Here we go. Right now, you'll see a 0 and again, middle of page 3. 100-3500-2000, sale of town real property. We're budgeting 0. Council's discretion to make that determination that this year, town property is sold.
The lots, 12 and,
I'm thinking the skateboard lot.
but I thought we were in the process of selling lots.
12 and 17.
Right.
Yeah, but they're not gonna get booked. I mean, that's this year.
That's
not-
this year.
that's
Yeah, all I want to know is, because I talked to her and she said this year.
Yeah, so we're supposed to go to closing on March
This is next
28th.
year.
No, I understand, I just want to confirm it's this year. Okay.
Well, we were supposed to go to closing on March 28th.
All right, all right.
And that was the purchaser. So we'll go to closing ideally before June 30th. It's the first week in April, ideally by June 30th, we will get that closed on. But this is,
Larry, is that held up because of that easement issue?
I suspect that's something that's
Because
something.
that was in the title of the 20 companies. I would guess maybe a title examiner through a title.
I suspect, and my understanding is a 30-day public notice on that and all sorts of things
Okay.
for the county, but that's their process. Once all that process is done with, my expectation is it's not going to take long to go to closing. It would, yes, I agree with the treasurer, likely June 30th. If I were a betting man, I'd say June 30th. Now, July 1, we've already got an unsolicited offer for the skateboard lot, which is woefully inadequate relative to what the tax assessment is, let alone to what an appraisal may be. That's budgeted 0 right now.
Did you get a response?
Not yet.
Leave it at 0. I would keep that. I mean, that could make the difference between, if we're short on the building, but we were talking about the building permit. So if we're short X out on that and we get it, so that balances itself out. Because it's the same, coming from this is the same, right?
It'd be general fund revenue.
Yeah.
But again, it's just, if we're gonna get if an unsolicited offer is gonna be entertained at some point in the fiscal year, we're doing ourselves a little bit of a disservice by budgeting 0 as far as revenue is concerned.
It's a conservative approach.
No.
I mean, because you could put 50,000 in if it doesn't happen.
I'd rather be on the.
I mean, it's almost the same theory as, I guess, not raising the building permit.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I don't see until we hit that 55,000 mark.
Well, what I'm getting at is probably the same theory as market's at zero right now, because if the skateboard park's really the only property left, basically, unless we get some sort of idea that, so like, Cackville area, 14 acres or something. That's all that story. Yeah, I'd say that, I'd kind of leave it there, because they don't respond to that, you're too cheap on the bid. And it's under 100,000 at this point, correct?
What's that?
That skateboard park.
Yeah, it's assessed at 60,
Yeah.
and that's less, well,
Yeah, see what I mean?
it's less than that, I would say.
I don't know, just me thinking out loud, if we do sell property, I prefer that money go to capital projects. It needs some attention, anyway.
Yeah, and if we do our mid-year review like we did
Yeah.
last year, and in the first 6 months it does, still not.
All right,
So
so,
on the new town hall.
Okay, can I move to appropriation for fund balance, like 100,000? All right, Dave.
Me too.
I don't know if this is reconciled for the book. I kept trying. I haven't done it with the new handout. But just something as simple as the number here doesn't agree with the capital projects list that says appropriations from fund balance. There's a difference of 200,000, 300,000. And we have, for instance, garbage cans for 10 grand. That's not in the notes there. So this number, to me, needs to really be looked at and reconciled throughout the document as to where these funds are being used.
I believe in the capital sheet, it does show 10,000 for sanitation for
It
the.
does, but I get a total number for appropriations of 681,000.
Mhm.
And I'm showing here 929.
Mhm.
Well, what's the difference? Should this number be 681?
Before you answer, can I throw in something else?
Depends on how much we have to reappropriate in projects that we haven't done this year.
Well, I need to make sure I can find whatever we have here in the balance sheets that follow, and I couldn't.
Well, 150,000 of that is phase 3.
Yeah, I was able to find some of these.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, the garbage cans I couldn't find.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
Okay.
And now with new sheets, I gotta go through that same exercise and go find this stuff.
I have a dumber question.
Yeah.
So, I'm not an accountant. Start there. So the concept of fund balance just is sort of a mystifying phrase to me. Okay. I hate to say.
I'm way ahead of you on that.
So,
It's your savings account.
There you go.
thank you,
Exactly what
thank
it
you.
is.
It's our savings account.
Well, but it is.
All right, and that savings account has money that came from here and here and here, like grant money or other things that already have a purpose. Is that a fair way of describing what we're talking about here? Then what we have in what I would call a fund balance savings account would be
Earmark.
undesignated funds, right? You know, what you think a savings account is money stashed over here that you can use if you need to plug the general fund with just, you're gonna spend more money than you got, so you got extra savings, you can use a line item and put, transfer from savings, what it used to say, something like that. That, and many communities it was called that. But I didn't really, what is our total fund balance?
Plenty. And
$2 million.
yeah, that comes up in the treasurer's report.
Well, I see it, but I mean, for the purpose of here,
Yeah.
and then these things are, of Paul saying, these things are pulled from it, some of which are earmarked, I think. Is that the right way to describe it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure.
Well, all the trail money was, all the breakwater money is.
Yeah.
We can't take the trail money and use it
Use it
for,
for something else.
yeah.
And it's in
But
fund
is it in a
balance.
fund balance or is it in another?
No, it's a fund balance, but we call it fund balance. It's like the sanitation fund is part of our fund balance designated for sanitation. Now, it doesn't need to be designated for sanitation, but it's sitting in a sanitation fund balance to the tune of $277,000.
How did we, that was another question.
I have no clue.
How did we suddenly have a $200-some-thousand fund balance in our sanitary fund?
I don't think it's suddenly, it's been there.
Well, obviously it has, but it's just suddenly become to light.
I have no idea.
And, you know, in years past, the fund balance was this mysterious cloud that nobody touched.
It shouldn't have
It
been.
had a balance, and it was a big balance, and when we were short of money, I would ask, why don't we take that from the fund? Oh, no, you can't take it from the fund balance, because we gotta have that in case we're under budget.
Well, the revenue from the sale of lot 17 and 12 is gonna go in the fund balance.
Yeah.
As opposed to a restricted account.
Correct. Because,
Yeah.
because.
Why?
Why?
Because 12 and, I'm sorry, 19 and 20 went to fund the fourth breakwater. That wasn't designated, we sell this to pay for the breakwater. But 12 and 17 was not similarly designated. So as a result, that is a sum of money that goes in a fund balance.
Well, couldn't we establish an account for it? Because it gets lost in the fund balance.
Well, yeah, you know, and
I mean, that's real money.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Everybody does.
Steve, this answers that question too, because remember we were gonna take, you know, instead of raising, was it last year? We were gonna raise the sewer and water, because we were gonna take it out of that serious fund balance.
Well, the
Yeah,
last 3 years,
was it
the
last-
fund balance has
was it-
started to get used more and more.
Right, it
Well,
balances the harbor.
but what happens is that came from the sanitation side, correct?
Well, how
I-
does sanitation side get to
Well, it
us?
should, it
Steve,
should,
I think,
because that's the enterprise fund.
Exactly.
I think, in the capital projects area, in this 900 some odd thousand, I think some of that, the lots, the 2 lots that we get income in that you want to put a special account, I think is actually supposed to.
Every penny, every penny's in it.
Every penny's in the
Every
capital
penny's in it,
project.
yep. One-time revenue enhancement for one-time capital expenditures. That's how I proposed it.
Say it again?
It's a one-time revenue enhancement. We sell these lots one time.
Right.
One-time expenditures, like the $300,000 put at the library, at the third floor of the library, is a one-time expenditure. Because once the capital improvements are done there, lead paint, asbestos is abated, elevator shaft and secondary stairway ring, that never has to be done again for that sake of that building. $125,000 towards those repairs and replacements at the harbor, the docks. Well, that's a long-term investment. Eventually, those are going to have to be replaced again. But for right now, we catch up with a lot of deferred cost, deferred maintenance with a one-time infusion of cash. And it was $125,000 transfer to the harbor, and then $102,000 transfer to the harbor for debt service. We're stuck with the debt service because we're stuck with the debt service. So that $102,872 basically stays on the books regardless. The rest of it can be, especially the $581,000, can be spent, doesn't have to be spent, can be kicked down the road, can be put in designated accounts for something to accrue some interest over time that it's appropriated at a point in the future for specific, like you take $200,000, put it aside, and those repairs at the harbor get done over 6 years. But they actually get done. And you know, the lived experience here is we budget something 3 years out, because 3 years is our purgatory. You budget it 3 years out, and then it never gets done after those 3 years. Then the next time it's looked at, it goes 3 more years out, and then it goes 3 more years out from there. So,
I understand all of that, and I appreciate the fact that you're pulling all of that into some real,
thank you.
just my problem with all of this is suddenly the fund balance has become available.
Yeah.
And if it's available, because there was a lot of talk about, you know, you can't spend down the fund balance, you gotta keep some amount of money in there. I don't know what that some amount is.
But we don't have a rainy day fund policy,
No,
Correct.
number one. So that's just like,
it was never a rainy day fund. We have started rainy day funds every year and we spend them every year.
really?
Yes. Or they go into the fund balance. balance.
Oh,
You know,
that's
'cause-
a big guy.
See, at the end of the year,
So
it
it's
just,
really the rainy day fund balance.
There you go. Okay.
but, I mean, for my part, if we get a one-time cash expenditure, I don't want that to go into the fund balance, because if we didn't spend it, it gets lost. You leave, new council, nobody knows $580,000 in the fund balance was actually a cash, that we got,
All right.
that we could spend.
What about, unless we get, Paul gets on the council that retired, goes back and reads all that stuff.
I mean, to me, it makes no difference, though. Fund balance needs to be made aware of, but whether you sell something and put it aside, not knowing what you're gonna use it for,
Well,
is the same as putting it in a fund
No,
balance
it
and not
isn't.
knowing.
No, it isn't, because if we have a budget shortage or something happens like that, they're gonna take it right out of that fund balance, and that 500,000 you're gonna spend on the library, it's spent on the harbor.
Okay, so what are you gonna designate it as?
I'm just gonna designate it as a restricted account, just the same way we did with 12 and
For what purpose?
It doesn't have to have a purpose.
Well, then I
Capital
can't
expenditure.
access it. I
Capital
need to
expenditure.
access it. I need to have it tied to something, and what can open that door?
well,
Capital expenditures.
we could, theoretically, we could have it attached with the jetty if that actually.
See,
blows
because
Well,
it's
that's okay,
taken out of the
because
fund
that's
balance
Yeah.
for maintenance.
No, if you can take it and attach it to a particular project or to whatever to expend it, I have no problems of designating it for that only. Or at some point in time, you really run into dire straits and say, we need to come back and readdress the designation on these funds.
Well, otherwise done.
If it's designated, it doesn't have to be spent in any one year, it just has to be spent for that purpose.
That's
Yes,
correct.
Yes, I could get some samples of some of those policies that guide, not fund balance stuff, but like rainy day funds and how you go back and snatch them, and what process you might use, whether it's to fund a specific project or to put together a pool. Yeah, I mean, this is a
Well,
little beyond where we are right now,
that-
but we don't have one.
but
That's
that-
why we're having this discussion.
That may be a good feed to our capital improvements plan, because in there we have fiscal policy. And there it has, what is this group being held accountable relative to your funds? And the plans I've seen, they call them debt limits, but they have you can't exceed X.
A percentage.
Yeah, and whatever, but that controls how much you're spending, especially on capital projects. And unless you change that policy, you can't exceed it. So that's what's coming down as far as what's going to be inserted into the capital improvements policy document that we have to get to approve.
So, we don't remember what we had in the total of the fund balance. Is that where we are? Okay, but it's in the monthly report. But I can't pull it up right now. But all of the items, so Larry, just to recap where we are.
I thought it was 2.1.
All of-
2.1 million.
Just
Okay,
take a ballpark.
something like that. So all of the items that are discussed here at 100, 3,600, 6,000,
Mhm.
to the right in the notes, are items from the fund balance that, although they don't tie exactly, they tie pretty close to all of those items
No, I have to
plus.
go back and look now, because it doesn't match, it's way off to what I have before.
Specifically, the 102,872
Right.
is that.
That's the committed, we got to do it. I
That's
understand.
correct.
Mhm.
That's
Well, if you go to the trail projects, which we're all familiar with, and go to the capital projects list there, we have nothing under appropriations for fund balance shown. Maybe that's the missing link there. For phase 2 and 3.
Well,
That's correct. That's correct. Unless those grant proceeds are in our fund, unless we're calling what's grant proceeds sitting in our fund, unless we consider that part of the fund balance as well, which we may be
the
doing.
grants, oh, so it might just be in the wrong column.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily strictly speaking appropriated from fund balance in the sense of it would be a designated fund that's sitting in
The fund balance.
fund balance.
Okay, so it's not reappropriated, as in, again, it was appropriated from the fund balance always.
Already.
For that purpose.
Right. Right.
That might be the
Think of the last 2 years with the breakwater, when we had to keep moving appropriate at $800,000 every year, but we didn't spend it on breakwater number 4. Because I think that was in the budget the last 3 years, actually, 2 or 3 years.
Because we were waiting to get more grant.
Right. Right, but we were carrying it on the books, we were carrying it in the budget that year. So that may be, that may be where some of that's coming from, that 160,000 for, to close up phase 2. What the actual town cost you see down there at the end is 40,000. So that's 40,000 that comes out of an unrestricted fund.
So all I'm saying, is this is an open item or question right now on this line item.
Yeah, it could be, but again, it's a matter of reconciling some of these numbers.
Okay, and we'll do that.
And it sounds like she probably didn't complete the notes, she's
So-
done that before. It could be as simple as that.
So, last month's report shows restricted and reserved cash balances.
That's not the fun.
I'm just saying what this shows, okay? On that report, it has the January report, cash on hand, with the LGIP and our Zenith bank accounts. It's got every restricted and reserved cash balance, and then it's got debt service. And it doesn't have anything that's called fund balance. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's beyond what's the cash for restricted cash balances. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, right. That's right, because what's restricted should be showing up as its own restricted fund.
It
And
does,
what's-
like facility fees, police funds, bond proceeds.
Right,
East Sunlands, debt service, and debt service. I see those. So the fund balance is not shown on our monthly report as a,
correct, but,
thank you.
but
The undesignated portion isn't shown.
that's right.
The designated part is,
It is.
but the undesignated.
They just never called the designated portion fund balance.
Exactly.
It's just, yeah,
Exactly.
restricted funds is what it's called,
Exactly,
yeah.
so that's only part of the fund balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
And well,
Thank
and
you for
okay,
your indulgence.
no, it's a bit, then maybe within our own documents, we need to call the same apple and apple.
Yes.
And if that's restricted or unrestricted, we need to be referring to it as restricted, unrestricted instead of appropriated from fund balance.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
I think it's a really good idea.
I think it's gonna clarify a lot.
Are we gonna hear any more on this street sweeper here or later on?
Later on, we get to the capital project.
Okay.
Very soon.
What was that, there's 2 things, I understand the capital going to the harbor for the capital expenditure. What's the 125?
The 125 would be the share of the, the inshore break.
Intro break one, that's right.
Okay. So that's the other capital?
Correct. That's the grant dependent.
Yeah, okay.
The other one is basically just maintenance.
Yeah, I just was confused between 2, because I thought that 102 is for the police.
Well, there is 125 for the maintenance and there's 125 for our share at this point of what the
Yeah,
application.
so I thought we were, one time we talked about spinning that off, so did, or can we, into its basic under the general, instead of putting all that load on the harbor.
Well,
Didn't we talk about doing that at one time?
As far as
For the capital expenditure?
for the debt service.
We can't do that. That's a harbor
Right.
operational deficit.
All right,
And
okay.
they don't have it, that's why it gets appropriated out of general fund
So,
and transferred.
the only thing that for me, to wrap up everything I'm concerned about, it only looks like we're about $1,100 more in general fund revenue projected in these new documents than what we had in our book. Okay? So I'm looking at the numbers, very slight increase, very modest in the line items that we've talked about. And I have a better understanding of this fund balance, but it would be helpful to start labeling that an apple to an apple, so we won't spend this, time doing this again. It would be helpful to me, thank you.
And if it's mysterious, it needs to be demystified because this is precisely the sort of thing that erodes trust. Whereas again, a one-time infusion of cash is going to show up as going into your fund balance. Because right now it's not designated for anything, unlike lights 19 and 20, which were designated for breakwater.
I have no questions on legislative.
What?
Next day, next day.
I have a question on transient occupancy tax. The $5,000 for restrooms and for attendance. The restrooms, Porta Johns, is that what we're gonna do for Strawberry Street Plaza?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's basically what that would wind up being, that we get the permanent bathroom business.
I think it's right after the pie charts, sorry. The original,
You're going backwards.
Way back.
way back, a little bit back.
Way back. It was like 2 hours ago.
No page
No page number?
one. It's pre-page one.
It's got blue and white.
Okay, there we go.
No page one. Transient occupancy tax.
Going way back.
Okay, we can move on. Just curious. It's not gonna change my mind about it. Yeah, otherwise we'd be here.
We need bathrooms.
I know, but are they real bathrooms or
No,
porta
they're-
johns?
The Porta Johns.
Porta Johns.
That we've tried, we've done a lot of research on the fancier kind. That's what the preference would be, but they cost a fancy price, and no one will, Jen's done a lot of research on this, I'm just speaking, reporting from what she's reported to us. No one will rent them to us for the amount of time that we need, because they can make a lot of money at a fair or a festival, rather than it being stuck in
Long
Cape
term.
Charles for 2 months.
And that item is captured, I think, in recreational, if I remember.
It is.
The board is the only one that has, and they only have 2.
I still have no questions on legislative.
Me either.
Nobody on legislative?
Nothing on those.
So when
Nobody want to raise?
We have our first one.
we should get a raise. It should be proportional COLA, as everybody else who serves the town should be. Planning commission too.
Yeah, they got a COLA in 30 years.
Just saying,
Town clerk, I have no comments.
trying to be equitable.
Town clerk?
How about the town manager? Just skip that.
Well, no, a third.
Oh, sorry, I skipped the clerk. I don't have any comments there either.
Now, there may
Town
be some,
healthy.
there may be some adjustments down in the clerk relative to some travel, and tolls for parking, lines 5200 and 5210. We're trying to be a little bit better stewards, so Libby and I were pinching pennies this morning.
That's the only area I had a question, and I don't know if it included more training for Tracy as well. I assume it did, right?
She's working now toward her MMC.
Yep.
We don't want to cut the education lines, but
Exactly.
some of the things with travel, where people will take the admin car instead of their own car, those are things we're trying to squeeze out. What do we find, like $1,700 just on that?
Something like that, yeah.
So,
Well, I think throughout the budget, it was about 1,700. I think it was like 1,000 in the travel
Yeah.
lines. And then I found some other areas.
All right.
So it might be, Chris, a reasonable time to report in. We're talking about, here it shows the first one of the clerk position proposed grade raise. So please note that at the top of page 6.
Yeah.
We Chris and I did meet with Deb, and we are working on new evaluation forms with her. We just kind of went over with some ideas. But the other thing we did was to, and you see sort of a general chart of where everybody is in the pay bands, trying to see if we have equity where it's supposed to be. And of course, with the COLA increase, all those things just move sequentially. But I did provide to Deb, I think, Chris, I don't know if I didn't, I got a copy for you. We did look at even at some future concept of maybe moving, if we have accountability, education, accountability, and levels of service, with having a livable wage for every employee, based on that job description as best we can. And we found, I found that MIT has done some really good research on this for every county in the United States, about what they break down the costs and things like that. So we'll be bringing some of that forward, but I think this is a first step in moving. This would not be one of those in the livable wage category, just to be fair, but it does try to make these pay bands and the positions within the pay bands appropriate. Makes it, makes sense. Yeah.
If it's livable for Cape Charles, as opposed to
So
livable.
volunteering for more work.
Yes, yes, and so there's everything on there, I'll show it to you, from, in single person, one adult with one child, one adult with 2 children, 2 adults, one with no kids, 2, whatever. You have to average out something like that. There's some good data out there for everywhere that we might want to consider.
When I went through this, I balanced those issues as a sort of a practical consideration of where people should be in their pay grade as well, with their evaluation, and the recognition that the unseen paycheck, the benefits, especially the health insurance, also was good this year. So I think the total commitment to our employees at all the levels is a fair one. And the one thing we look for in the workplace is fairness. So I think people, with what's proposed or where they should be, again, George's position is proposed a grade change. Well, our current clerk salary is below the minimum of that grade. And that's just a structural problem. Also, there's just plain fact, the last 4 years, or 4 or 5 years, people have been hired closer to the midpoint of their grade than people who were hired years past. So any 2.5% or 3% or 3.2% increment from being further back doesn't get you closer. Because that midpoint keeps moving and you're still relatively behind where you were. So that's where I think some of it shows as an equity increase. And then these are people who should be, in some cases, many thousands of dollars from where they should be on their pay band. They were just hired at a very low rate, and that low rate never really moved up. And for what it's worth, if you go back and look at some of the employee expenditures in years past, I can't, and we're on video, there's a gender issue here as well, where some of our female employees just didn't move up further compared to some of our male employees. There was also the bonuses, and I had a hard time finding the time where a female employee got a bonus.
Well,
Just saying.
right, and to go forward, so our priority meeting back at the end of January, personnel was our number 2 thing. So I think this budget reflects some definite improvements in those areas, so I'm glad to see us addressing that, and it is a priority.
I don't think I have any questions on any of the employee piece of each of these.
All right, I'm all set with town manager too. I have no questions.
That was legislation too.
Plenty, I got plenty of it, but it's okay.
The whole town manager section?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Do you have questions, Tim?
I'm glad to hear that.
Well, one of them's probably just a point of clarity when we get down to the grants. So it just feels like it's in there twice. We have grant, experimental film, grant, arts enter, and then down on the next page we have grant, gear, and experimental film.
One is the town match for,
See that?
and then the other one is like what they requested tonight.
But
So
they're
those
listed separately, so 5,000, like one says art center, and one says,
Yeah, one is the $4,500
yeah.
Right.
pass-through, which we also contribute
That's
to.
the actual grant.
Right, I know, and then there's a 5,000 one, and then on the next page, there's another 5,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
One's art center, one is
Yeah.
The 5,000, that goes back like years to match the state grant, which is pass through. It's not pass through in the sense of they get it no matter what. They do match that. Let's change
So there's,
that.
so it looks like there's 2, one's a match and then one's a pass through.
State and local.
It's 2 different things.
That's correct. Like the 10,000 for the fire department,
Yeah.
that's a 10,000 pass-through, and then there's 25,000 which is actually the town's support.
Okay.
So will we, at the end, when we feel comfortable with the budget, come back to look at this particular section? For instance, the
Increase
museum.
or decrease?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was at, that's why I didn't know if this was like the last chance to look at it, or what that was.
No, that makes sense, because it goes back and adjusted to increase or decrease.
Right.
I don't see any increases coming from my
And then I had a question about does this mean we're not applying for the Northampton County Tourism Infrastructure Grant for the porta potties?
Well,
At the top of the first page?
What number is it?
Page 8, sorry.
I'm sorry, thank you.
It says here that it's in the recreation department,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over there.
so it'll be
Right.
further in the,
But the way I read this is that we're not applying for it.
not on the
None of
town manager.
Right, none of the manager's budget.
It's gonna be in the recreation.
Okay.
Cross-referencing.
Well, we also have it under transit occupancy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Call me crazy, folks, but.
No.
The transit occupancy money goes into the we spend it money.
I'm asking for somebody else to pay for this money.
Well, that's the top, yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of,
Okay.
like I said, there's a lot of cross.
That's it, that's all.
All right, Tammy, you had said for Main Street, you'll be coming in April to talk through the orders?
Yeah, I wanted to just clarify with
The date.
Larry the date of the last, Thursday, okay? The 20, whatever it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Bill Strand will be doing that, who's our organization person, and Karen will be on board for about 3 weeks, so she'll be alongside him at that point. But, yeah.
Did a good job.
And then I want to bring your attention to lines 5010, 5020, and 5030, which are all tourism zone refunds, which we use as placeholders to the tune of about 15 grand, 14,500 in this case, that no one ever really applies for. So at the end of the day,
Where's that at?
on page 8,
Middle of the page.
middle of page,
50-10, 50-20, 50-30.
yep, all refunds, they're all refunds, tourism zone, BPOL, personal, business property, and their permit fees. No one applies for these things. We continue to hold them as placeholders, which we will continue to do. But it both pads the budget, and then at the end of the year, adds to how good we did a job of managing our money.
Well, last year-
Precisely because those problems wind up being zeros for the rest of the year. Maybe not. I-
Last year, Deb and I made an effort together and presented it at the Business Association meetings.
Well, we've got one.
And
I think we had a couple
we did not,
applied last
I think
year.
we did.
we got about
It's
3.
About 2 or 3.
Relatively nickels and dimes.
Oh,
Yeah,
we did.
small.
Right.
But we didn't do that this year.
I think we had a request for this kind of information for the,
Harvey Building.
Harvey Building.
Yeah, that's correct. That is correct.
So there will be some to what degree.
Exactly. But I just bring that to your attention because if that becomes, oh, look at the bottom line, we're not,
Yeah.
look how good we're doing, there's like 20 grand out there, well, 15,000 of it, 14,500 of it is money that's never being spent.
Well, my guess is that there's some new businesses like Cape Trust Candy Store that just did a renovation that don't know about their news, and they wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
So
Get the word out.
I'll try to work with Deb to get that out again.
Right. And again, those are all reimbursements, so if those numbers go up, they're also going to go up relative to something that's already been paid.
Right.
So if we, at the end of the day, wind up with refunds to the tune of, $22,000, that doesn't mean we've overspent 14,500. That means we receive on the revenue side more to refund to people. So there's a corresponding revenue side that balances that out. The one way of saying nobody ever collects it.
So you did a good job when you set that up.
After about 9 years.
It took us.
Larry,
Yeah.
on page 7,
They said.
legal services, happy to see that it's remained steady. We've had some wild fluctuations of legal services in the past, so. And we budgeted 40,000 this year, do you know where we are expenditure?
We're about 27.
Okay.
But you have to spend it when you have to spend it.
No, I get that, but I mean, it just seems to be, I don't know,
That's an issue.
that we had, it used to be a crazy thing.
Well, there is, maybe at some point, at the 25th, maybe, Clark and I were talking about that this very day, we might to do an executive session with our attorney about an issue relative to a capital project. Spent more time on the lawyers than the engineers.
Speaking of engineers, you've also got engineers and architects. 3420.
Yep,
What are your thoughts on that?
well,
Because I know there's also in water and wastewater, they've got a
Separate.
license too.
separate and distinct, that's right. So we're really not gonna have that much engineering and architectural services going on unless, you know, council's asking for any kind of studies to be done.
What about at the library?
What's that?
That should be captured on the capital project.
Yeah, that's part of that 300,000.
Right.
You know, we had, at a point in time, and I don't know whether it goes here or there, but wanted to do another facility fee study. And
What is that?
to determine whether or not the fees we're charging for water and sewer hookups are
Gotcha.
appropriate.
Correct. That's put on hold because of legal issues.
And I think, correct me, Dean, but Bob, yourself, and Debbie have been working on a little bit something.
Yeah,
Some.
Okay, yeah.
Bob does the bulk of all that, you know, we supply him with data and that sort of thing, and he pretty much puts it together, so he would be the one to talk to you about that.
And again, I'm confident that we can do most of that in-house.
Well, if we can, I'd like to see what we're doing or know that we're doing that. I remember saying exactly that. Bob and Deb and Dave were gonna do something, but then I never heard no words.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where he's at with it, I know he's got to be close, you know, he probably already knows what it is.
Yeah, because I mean, correct me, I think the last time that I met was in one of those meetings was end of December. So I don't know if you guys got together at any time in the winter.
Well, other than just to give him more, you know, information that he's asked for, but that's been at least a month.
Okay.
You know, I gave him anything anyway.
We'll provide an update.
Thank you.
We'll provide an update. Even if that just winds up attached to a weekly report. Instead, we don't have to wait for a council meeting to do the presentation.
Finance.
Any more on timeline?
I don't know what the $5,000 management consulting line is. Maybe I need lots of management consulting. I don't know how much $5,000 buys me of it, and I'm not exactly sure for what purpose. But for right now, that can be a placeholder, or that can get cut in half.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On page 9, right, we're still in town manager on page 9.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Things are dialed up here. Okay, page 9. Why are the fund balance transfers like to the harbor and stuff shown in the town manager budget?
When was that done? Somebody helped me a couple of years ago, 3 years ago.
It just seemed like, how did that fit there?
I think we put all the debt services,
On the general fund transfers,
yeah, under the
under
management.
the managers, just had to go somewhere.
Okay, well, they got debt service, TDM, and debt service interest TDM, which I don't know what those were, 6,800 and 6,850.
Yep.
And then, the contingency, I get that, but then there's a fund balance transfer to the harbor.
Yep.
So you just put that in the town manager's budget. Okay, just have a place to put it, no, real big reason other than it's all lumped together there, right?
Yeah, that was the 102,872 pops up, it's heading in.
Okay.
Is that in the management?
All right. Finance.
No questions.
Anybody have any questions on finance?
Auditor's fees staying about the same, 25,000 or so.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Our auditor's fees going up a little bit, looks like. I mean,
Yeah, a handful.
because that's, we have more different accounts of things to keep up with. I just wanted to put it.
Yeah, it's 3%, 2.7%.
That's about right for a true audit.
Yeah, I would think that.
Yeah, I would have thought maybe even more. Okay.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
Well, I'll go and take that one and ask Deb about it. She, in case you don't know, she's at the governor's infrastructure conference in Rhode Island, which just finished up today, so. And my understanding is a worthwhile experience. Hopefully we're smarter when she comes back. I suspect we will be.
Okay, police department.
Just curious on 6,000, line 6,000. You know those guys like us now, is the trend in violent crime going from handguns to rifles or?
Oh, 6,000, from the office.
60/50, right underneath.
Oh, 60/50.
Oh, sorry, 60/50.
Yeah,
It's on page 13.
we've talked, which is to say, Debbie and I have talked about that a little
Page
bit.
13.
You know, my preference is that our officers are on defense, not offense. So the ballistic vests, I think are very valuable. We do need body cam system update. The radar is a radar. The chief could probably get a better answer as to the actual value of the night vision. That does come in handy, especially when they call on for mutual aid out in the county where there's no streetlights.
And spotlight deer.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, we actually had a report about what was it? A guy running around with an automatic weapon out in the woods that our police responded to for mutual aid with the deputies. So, so you never know when a set of night vision is going to come in handy, and most nights it isn't, except for the night when you need it. So, but I understand what you're getting at. I mean, because I think we've had those same questions. The vests and the cameras, I think, is invaluable. Other things is maybe another issue. And again, one that struck out to me was the night vision. So, but I can ask the chief.
We were early adopters on those cameras, body cams. I think so. They're probably due for an upgrade.
And you know, when we first got elected, I was up in, when you first did time manager, I remember the chief come up saying, you know, our body cams is, it's just like, and you told him, put it on the budget for next year.
Night visions are 2,500 bucks.
I mean, if council's pleasure, I'll get more information from the chief on that one.
The vests are important, they're those like Kevlar, right?
Yeah.
The same thing, it's a standard issue, kind of a thing every year.
Probably people are raised.
Yeah.
I don't really have any questions. I do have a comment on the police, and I've already kind of touched base with Larry, and I think we're on the same page as this is to just want to make sure that in the vehicles that we get, I want them very well decaled, and I want them to be, I would like for them to be known as police officers sitting on a corner somewhere instead of an undercover cop sitting on a corner somewhere. I want to be a little bit more friendly with that, so just make sure that the money, when that car gets here and it's a new car, it is decaled. Personally, I prefer the lights on top, but I'll take the decals. I understand the drilling holes and all that stuff, but
It's been discussed internally, at least between the treasurer and myself, about the need for a vehicle every year, which is not to say that we go to every vehicle every 2 years, but just for the need for a vehicle every year. And I know there's a policy on it. If that becomes sort of a zero-based budget line, where this year they need to show that a vehicle needs to be replaced.
Not just because.
Not just because it's another year.
Right.
But that's strictly intramural at this point.
anything else on police? Code enforcement.
What is the debt service that the code enforcement department has? It's on item 6860.
Car.
He's got a
Yeah. Principal payment code enforcement, and I'm sure there's something vehicle, 4 lines out from there. But we can just make that, to make it clear that that's the vehicle.
I just didn't know.
No, but you know what, it's fair enough, because people who are gonna see this,
Yeah, they wonder what that is.
they wonder what that is. Debt service on principal payment code enforcement swap, it's his vehicle. So we can do that, make it more clear English.
Any other questions on code? Public Works?
So we can do lead paint abatement. It's lead paint, not lead contained paint. There's a difference.
Where are we?
Library.
Yeah, oh, what?
17.
70-10.
We're done public works already?
Yeah. No, it is public works.
Yeah. Okay, 70-10.
Buildings and improvement?
I saw it as a capital improvement.
Yeah. Second phase of the library, which is the $50,000.
Right.
Following up from the expenditure this year
Right.
on the wall. Yeah, on the wall. And then, that 300,000 sitting there for a one-time capital improvement or a one-time capital or a revenue enhancement. So that's where the 300 from capital projects comes in.
Get that. My question is, we got lead paint specifically mentioned. And we have a hazardous material survey report that says it is lead paint, not lead contained.
That might be a shorthand, because when 201 Mason was bought back in 2012, there was extensive reports on just about everything. The roof, the basement, the sump pump system, the lead paint, all that stuff is in a folder that's that thick. Jim did a lot of those reports, but if I'm not mistaken, we may have had another firm go out and do the hazardous material stuff. One of you might remember.
Yeah, I think Jim told me that we were up there, told him that the B of A had a report done, right before they repurchased it.
Yeah, there's a, well, I've got it in the office, so there's a file as thick as this with all sorts of information about these things.
So there's going to be lead paint abatement in association with this elevator installation. Do we have a cost for that? Of the 300,000, how much is that?
Of the lead paint, we have to put that out for bid, but my expectation was that would probably be 50 to 60.
Let's do off the whole third floor and the stairwell.
Yeah.
From the stairwell, from the first floor to the second and third, all in there. It's,
And the capital sheet doesn't break it out.
It doesn't, not yet, no, it doesn't. It does not.
Basically, the capital is the 300,000 to get what we can get done.
Buy as much as we can get.
You have to go to another question on that page?
Yeah.
On grounds maintenance, 30-40 at 70,000, 50,000 general, 20,000 bid maintenance and mulch. Again, our number one priority area was preventive maintenance and infrastructure. We talked about that in terms of.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 15 at Public Works. So that was one of our top areas for maintenance and infrastructure. And is this what we, is what we did the same as we had last year? Do we think we might need more there? And does that include the extra things we were talking about, like make sure his garbage cans are cleaned out maybe a couple times a day, or any of things like that?
That was my question. I didn't know if that came under cleaning and janitorial services.
I wouldn't know either, or grounds.
So I think that we need to make sure in our higher seasons that the frequency of that's happening more.
I just want to make sure we have enough money.
Yeah,
If we want
exactly.
more service,
Services.
it's either we
Right.
adjust schedules to do it, or we have to have our money. And
Is that
I
all
noticed, this is such a
the Broward
nitpicky.
Heights contract? Is that basically the Broward Heights contract?
The grounds maintenance.
The grounds maintenance.
Ground maintenance, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be Broward Heights.
Okay,
All
that's all that
70,000.
is. Okay. This is a nitpicking thing, but why is the propane and fuel oil for the library and the public works budget on number 5020? It says it is library.
Yeah, sure does.
Everything that maintenance wise that we do at the library is done through public works.
But is this just their fuel, it says fuel expense.
Right, that's a cost of having a library, that should probably be in the library.
I don't know, I mean.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Do cleaning and janitorial for the library come from your budget as well? Or where does that come from?
I think Ann has got some money in her budget for that. That actually comes out of her.
It's mine.
Okay.
What, there's about $6,200 or something like that.
Well, when we get that, because just
Yeah.
if bathrooms are something we're gonna look at, then we need to add to her budget.
Well, okay, because when we get to the budget,
Yeah.
we'll get to the library.
Okay.
The propane and fuel oil expenditure pops up there too.
Mhm.
Say $1,500.
So she might have, yeah, but
But there's no propane for this
do you
building.
guys have anything in the cost of that, propane and fuel? Nothing
There's
there?
electric.
Got a wood stove.
They got electric in the
I
office.
just wonder if you copy and pasted it, put it here, and it's just that note kept carrying on.
That could be the note. I mean, that's a Debbie question.
It could be, I mean, that's happened before, it's just.
Okay, I just wondered.
No, it's a fair thing, because it's saying $1,500 comes up under the library.
So in other words, that note should be copied from there for whatever reason, because it has sitting on the line.
But I'll check and see if that's redundant.
Maybe for something.
I would like to just continue though with what Celia was saying as far as services and for cleaning and janitorial, if we need to, if we're gonna ask for more services, do we need more money in that area? So that just as we move forward, we have 7,500 as far as trash and.
I think for the person to empty the trash and everything, we have an extra person in the recreation department
Sure.
to do that.
Yep.
Labor to do that.
But just that person, I think, keep hearing that person's name doing a lot of things.
Yeah, a lot of garbage pickup. And
A lot of
and
bathroom
cleaning
cleaning.
trash.
I'm wondering if it's a part-time person, right?
No, it's a
Full-time.
That's a full-time, okay,
Year-round full-time.
okay.
Can you classify that as recreation?
Well,
Well,
John, did you cross-training?
There's
nothing I can't do. I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, you want to talk about that person while we're on the subject. Jen told me that she can't keep a full-time person, that she just doesn't have enough work to do. And she asked me if, if we could use him when she didn't need him. Or her. I told her that, we don't need another unskilled person on our career, we just don't need it. So my suggestion is this, I think that the person that does those trash cans and does the cleaning and the, after hours in the beach bathroom and the park bathrooms and the harbor bathroom should be a contract, where we contract that out. That way we get it during the summertime and then we're done with it. And my feeling is that this could be a person that we contracted to, but he or she could have 3 or 4 people working for them. That way, instead of one person trying to figure out what they should be doing, you got a whole crew of people out there. And my concept is that, like from 3 in the afternoon until 8 at night, these bathrooms are just kept spotless. And it'd be like an attendant in there, basically, just a crew going around constantly and keeping these things pristine for 3 months out of the year. And that way we don't have another person that we don't really need. The person that we really need is a mechanic.
With all fairness, Dave, I mean, realistically, it's kind of staff management. Public Works, they come in at what, 7 in the morning? 7 in the morning, 3 in the evening, got one person come in at noon and go until 8 throughout the week. I mean, that's just, we're a seasonal time.
Well, it takes one person, we drive, you know, we pick up a lot of brush in the summertime. And we got a lot of million other things to do too. A 4-person crew running this town in the summertime, we've got about, instead of having 19 lights down Mason Avenue, we now have about 250 lights around town we've got to maintain. That's just lights. I mean, we have a lot to do. And to have somebody just, you know, staggering around like that, and, you know, my guys, I mean, they're good. They can do a bathroom and all, but I'd really like for these bathrooms to be done really well and kept, you know.
I don't disagree. I mean, I was just asking, especially on the trash pickup, that's what I was thinking.
And the trash pickup. You know, that.
And if we have the porta potties that just clean up.
My feeling about the trash pickup is this: we do it, you know, we do it every day. We do it once a day, at least once a day. We could do it like have maybe somebody pick it up towards the end of the day, but it gets to be problematic in getting a trash can from the street over to where our park is. We can't drive down the sidewalk, and you know, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Mason Avenue is packed. You can't get a car down there easily and dump these trash cans. I would like to just say, hey, look, business owner, if the trash can fills up in front of your business, could you dump it? You know, I mean, if it's.
It's not their responsibility.
Huh?
Sorry, it's not their responsibility. That's a town trash can, it's not theirs.
Well, that's fine, then, you
You
know.
can't put that onus on the business, sorry.
I don't know why, if it's in
Doesn't matter.
Ground Dog has 2 trash cans out there, and it's Ground Dog's.
It doesn't matter. They're
Well,
all.
I think it does matter.
No, it doesn't, they're all.
If you go to a restaurant and if you eat dinner in a
They're
restaurant.
collecting a revenue for this town to do that.
Hey.
Sorry.
Well, I
Here's
mean, you
our-
know,
They collect a revenue for this town to do that service.
okay.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, then, yeah, the contract person would do that after hours too. They'll be
That's
part
what
of
it's needed
their,
the most.
Correct.
they'll be part of their.
I think it's a good idea.
The thinking behind a full-time employee was, this isn't glamorous work. And when the whole approach was first discussed, it was a part-timer. Well, you're gonna get this becomes like, you know, the harbor part-timers. You're gonna get a part-timer who's competing with their other part-time job, who has to leave on a 97-degree day to come and clean toilets in Cape Charles. I'll take my chance at Burger King. If it's a full-time employee, they know that that's their job. And they're rewarded as such with a regular salary, benefits, a shift. There's a chain of command they respond to. And I don't have a problem with the contract. I do not have a problem with the contract approach until the contractor's as bad as some of our other contractors. And then we get 40 phone calls about why the toilets haven't been cleaned in 3 days. And then it is John's guys cleaning toilets. A man short. So if there's a contractor who's actually going to deliver between May and September, sign them up. If this is going to be no different, then why can't we keep the phase 2 tree out, the lights on? Hire our own person. If they don't work out, I fire them.
Are we dealing with, this is generally on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday scenario, or is it?
No, it's actually Saturday and Sunday, their work days. Their weekend's probably going to be Monday and Tuesday, or Tuesday and
I mean,
Wednesday.
for the contractor.
Well, the contract,
It'll be 7 days a week.
7 days
Seven
is
days
a
a week.
contract, and you get it.
Yeah.
right.
And we have some pretty good cleaning service, like sanitation contractors.
I don't think the personnel, I don't think it's a big problem.
I don't either.
No.
Indulge me then when you start getting the phone calls. Indulge
Well,
Dave and myself too. when I'm-
I mean, I'm just one person with an opinion on it. I know there are a couple I think it's worth checking into as far as pricing. I've wondered about this position of a full-time person, skill set wise, that is happy enough doing the sanitation work and all of what the responsibility is, and then in the off-season, what is that work? Like, if we can define what that work is and the skill set equals, you know, the person that would be happy, then it makes, you know, there's always something to be done. I just, like, what are those equating kind of skill sets that I think, that's where I was having a hard time with the assistant event person being the toilet.
Right, and one of the things about a contract service, they're not likely to lock up. So here we go again with who's locked in the toilet at 9 o'clock at night. And the answer is nobody's locking the toilet at 9 o'clock at night, so why is the guy sleeping in Central Park toilets again? And we get back to that, again, a town employee answerable to a chain of command in the town gets that done. And it doesn't become a runaround that the cop doesn't want to do it, John doesn't want to come in off, you know, get a phone call from the park police about coming over to the toilet. There's somebody who also staffs the events, because otherwise the contractor's not going to staff the events.
The other thing, the other part, to feed on that, is that the town employee whack, when there's a problem with the bathroom whack, report it to,
Yes.
should report it to somebody
Right.
above them. Other contractor will go in, they'll clean it, they won't even notice the sink's broken, and you get a complaint. I know what.
Yeah, I think the question is what can that person do in the off, what Jen asked you, what in the off season, like what is that person, I think we can fill that time, and there's plenty of responsibility in our April to October. But is there a job that aligns with this job for that other part of the season?
I would like to suggest to council to possibly look at how VIMS does stuff. VIMS has a great policy. I got a buddy of mine who's worked for VIMS for 15 years now, and their policy is that summer months is their months to get out and get it. They work a whole bunch of hours in the summer months. They get 2 or 3 months off in the winter, still get paid. They accrue that time, but our policy states, and correct me if I'm wrong, if they get comp time, it's not used within 30 days, we gotta pay them anyway.
Yeah.
The way their policy reads is that they accrue comp time all summer long, and then they get to take longer vacation.
Well, I think that if we're approaching this from, like, getting in the business of the people that run our town. So if we as a council, I know I'm a broken record about this, so just hear me out. We're not saying what the expectation is. We should set what the expectation of service should be. Clean bathrooms, 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, whatever it is, okay? Trash picked up with, twice a day, whatever it is, X trash cans from X day to X day, period. And then you guys are the ones who figure this out. There are lots of different options about getting that done, whether that's, and there are advantages to each way, or combination of them. I really don't care. You all, you see it every single day. You hear all of the concerns, all of the complaints. I think we got to approach it from what are we expecting, not how do we do it.
I'm asking for a staff line.
Yeah, so there we go. We got to put money in the budget, so y'all figure out how to do it. Go for it.
Library?
We can give the contractor a try, and if the contractor fails, then that's a market failure. So when there's a market failure, government has to step in and fix it.
There you go.
Plan B.
Well, I think Dave said it, I think that, and he was talking about the level of service. You want it done and done well all the time, and that's what Seal said. I think that's what we all want. So however that can get done in our high season, then I'm all game too.
I
think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I agree.
All it comes up to is just checks and balances
Yeah.
at the end.
And whatever
Whoever
we
likes
all think
the
will work
bathrooms,
best
check
is
it
what
out.
we support, so.
Is that like public works?
Well, page 16 has, again, street sweeper. Do I ask here for some more info or wait until capital project?
We go to capital projects.
Forget it.
Are we intending to get through all of this tonight?
Why don't you just kill it? If the preference is to kill it, we could kill it here.
Are we intending to get through all of this tonight?
Can we take a little break? I need some
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. You can do it from right there.
Everybody want to recess for
It was on.
5 or 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Move to recess.
If you don't
Move to recess for 5 minutes.
Second.
Second, all in favor of recess? Return from recess.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Back in session. Where we at? Parks and Rec? Page 17.
I'd like to make a motion that we don't go beyond 9:30.
Okay.
I'll decide second to
We'll
get
pick
that out
up
there
on
for you.
that.
Pick up on
If we
that.
don't finish, we'll come back.
Public Works?
Long time ago.
Paul had a question about it.
I'm going to the library.
Well, Parks and Rec, we had here 6750 for, I think that's the concert, right?
Yes.
And that's different from the grants that we talked about earlier, that we would say we'd come back and look at.
Part of that,
Part of
60,
that,
yeah, 6750 is for the concert itself, the other part of it is for,
Well, they've asked for some more money. Depending if they requested, if I'm not mistaken, was it $10,000 they requested? The lion's share of that obviously is for their concert series.
But is this where the concert's is, right here?
That's correct. That is correct.
The other section, I forget where we talking about, grants or whatever.
Well,
Did not include Central Park, page 7,
I think the idea
7 and 8.
Our grant rates, here's what it was. 10,000 was requested by them.
they requested 10,000. They requested 10,000, and this line item here is 67,000 for the bands alone. The other $3,250 is for the extra help for setting up.
Yeah, but I don't find that anywhere.
And you're not going to, it's in the staff. It's up in here. You're not gonna see that.
No, I'm looking on the grants, when we talked about page 7 and 8, the list of grants that we said we'd come back and look at. I don't see anything with parks there.
No, it's not, it's under the Central Park.
So this is it for right now, 6750.
It's actually 10. 6750 is for the bands. The other rest of it is for staff setting up and all that.
what they've requested.
They requested 10. They're getting their 10, they're getting 6750 for bands, and the other 3250
In other words,
for setup and stuff.
Parks and Rec budget.
Yeah, I'm looking at Parks and Rec, so where is the 32 or 35?
It's up in here in the staff.
Staffing,
It's in the staff. It's in staff cost.
they're doing the work, not
It's in kind.
Oh, incline, okay, that makes sense, okay.
just since I'm new at this, what are program and events, the 21,000, just, is that where fireworks fall or something
Yeah,
like
most of
that?
it's gonna be fireworks. Oh, yeah. Well, programs and events, and that's what 6705 has been moved to.
Yeah, to the other, I saw that. So this year's 21,
Right.
so that's like I'm just curious, about how much is fireworks?
15. And we got a new company this year, if I'm not mistaken, I think this still allows us to 15. So,
In the last item, repair maintenance, that's where your porta potty is. It says golf carts, soccer goals.
Porta potties.
yeah, basic stuff like that. Porta potties, the soccer goals when they need to get repaired, our own golf cart. So, there were things that from, I mean, she buys a bunch of supplies too for things, like smaller events, Festive Fridays, sometimes she'll do things for the library. So there's a whole bunch of little expenditures that are rolled into there as well. Recreation supplies.
Any more recreation? Library.
Somebody has to ask a question, they hadn't seen it.
The biggest thing is Sharon,
Right.
to be honest with you, is a library assistant, a full year, full-time,
Yeah.
which is what I'm proposing, and this is after last year's discussion, budget time, and then also discussions with the town librarian.
So there's only increase, 11% over last year, that's nothing. To hire, to add a full-time person.
She doesn't get paid that much.
Well, we have to do that. We did reduce significantly though on cleaning and
I know,
janitorial, so I was kind of confused about that.
Because Deb had put, she overestimated, I don't know why she put so much in there. I mean, it hadn't been used unless Dave's paying for it or something.
Okay, that's fine, I just didn't want it to be shorter than.
Yeah.
It's highly used, so we don't want it short.
Dave, you found $4,000.
Yeah, but some of that money, I mean, that reduced, it might not be reduced depending upon what the contractor comes in at, you know what I mean? Because that's gonna be one part of
Well,
their job.
if we talk about bathroom use, what's that?
Yeah.
I thought this was the interior.
Yes.
I noticed when I was there for the tour with Libby, just that the lobby area, I don't know that they're addressing that at all. That's really,
There's a what?
it's pretty rough looking. I'm sorry, but it's really bad. It's a bad.
I noticed that too, I don't think she is doing that.
I think we
I noticed
need
this-
more money in there to do that, because that's looking
Well,
pretty
she's
rough.
not doing- I don't think she's doing it, is she supposed to? That's
Yeah.
part of the building.
It's a bad first impression.
It is. When we were over there the other day, it was a little untidy. But the magazines were very neat, right, Chris?
That's
Just-
right, they were.
They wanted that
Time and
way
history.
when we went with Tammy,
Yeah.
because Bobby wasn't there fixing
Oh,
it.
yeah, but they know
He
we
did such a
are.
great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a book, everything organized, but it's just, I could tell that, I was like, I wonder how they're, like, where do you get cleaning support from? Because it really,
I noticed that too, the steps going up are dusty.
and the window, and, I mean, even like a good coat of paint on those windows, I mean, that's just truly a first impression, so whatever we need to do to help support that.
The issue with odor and what have you there, do we have monies in here then to finally address, or is that this current year?
Oh, I'm gonna say we have some more money in this current year. It looks that cleaning up and repairing the toilet tanks would be about $3,500. So it would be nice to get that done for the library before June 22nd, for their anniversary, their centennial. Otherwise, I will save about out in the manager's budget this year, I'll probably save about $6,000. So if that's just a fund transfer, I mean, it's a general fund, but I mean, it's just
You can do that.
a line item transfer.
That's good, good.
So can we talk to the bathroom use, the extended hours on Saturday and
Yeah.
Sunday in this area?
Well, I don't know about extended hours on Saturday, but at least Sunday hours.
Right, well, what are the Saturday hours currently?
Till about 5 on Sunday?
10 to 2.
I thought we were gonna take it to 5, that's what we talked about.
Yeah, or 4.
Mhm.
On a Sunday, if we have full-time coverage year-round, to be able to do at least during the summer hours on Sunday, maybe from 1 to 4, to be able to not only provide the service that people going into the library would have, but also a staffed bathroom, another bathroom downtown running.
Because that gives you 2, right, 2 bathrooms?
So is that a done deal, hour-wise, or is it being considered?
As far as
But I'm asking like to see if we can, if approval of this, does that make that a feasibility?
Yeah.
What are the library hours right now?
Saturday.
10 to 5 every day, Thursdays 10 to 8, Saturday 10 to 2.
Reality. 10-5 every day.
Thursday, Friday.
Thursday
And
10
they do, I was in Saturday, and they do keep account of people just coming in to use the bathroom,
Right.
and there's quite a few.
Well, because of the town that we are and our tourism town, it concerns me a little bit that 4 o'clock on Saturday is the closing time, you know, as far as, not the library part, but just as far as if we're trying to use it for infrastructure for bathrooms. I didn't know if there was a possibility that the entrance door, you know, into the library, that can be locked off and that bathroom has access and then locked, you know, like if you closed at 4.
You gotta look at locking off computers too.
Is that, I thought that it doesn't.
As I look at that too.
So, the library's open 35 hours a week. We're gonna have 2 full-time 40-hour employees, and we can't extend the hours on these bathrooms.
We could.
Extend the hours to the library.
To
There's
5.
2 40-hour employees, plus a part-time employee, and it's only open 35 hours a week currently. I'm just throwing that out there.
I mean, even it's just.
That's a lot of 40-hour employees for 35 hours a week.
Well, double shifts.
Yeah.
Do we ever have one person on only?
No, we generally have two people.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And Bobby's just 15 hours. The other person's 15 hours.
I mean, I think realistically.
I mean, can you split shifts? I
Split
mean,
shifts.
can you have somebody open and then when you get busy, so you got somebody else come in?
They have programs out, they go out to the schools, you know, they start.
Right.
Doing the outreach, it becomes a problem, with going out of the library, because there's still got to be somebody in the library. And then we do night programs, and more night programs that extend to hours, we can't go over our 40 hours. And we do programs that go after hours, so.
Are most of those in the September to May range, the night programs?
We aren't doing much now, but if we get the 40-hour person, that's one of the things we want to do, more adult programming, more evening programming. It's tight now with her only being part-time in the wintertime.
Maybe that, again, I'll leave that to you guys to figure out, but some sort of overlapping. And certainly the two during the school year, let's say, makes sense to have because of schools and doing things like that. You can't keep it open and have run out all the time, so.
But I think it's setting the standards of expectation service, and for me, one of those would be during high season, that we have, the access to the restrooms later on Saturday and then on Sunday to do that, and however that balances out without the year, I mean, we'll let you guys figure out, but I really think that that's something that we need.
So what are we expecting as hours? Saturday 10 to 5?
Are we just talking about summer or all the time?
Well, that's a good question.
Because the winter is very slow.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, I would say
The
I would
nights,
say April to.
the nights are
October.
slow too in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. It's a joke.
Realistically, I think we're trying to kill two birds with one stone here. One, get you an extra staff member, two,
Our
that's
Saturdays are busy.
longer bathrooms,
And Sundays.
over 2 kilometers. So.
We're having a lot more day trippers, on our downtown has been hot for the last 2 weeks,
Yes,
weekends.
last 2 weekends have been.
And it's April, so that's why I said April, that's
Spring
first.
breaking time, you
Yeah.
can feel that, so,
Yeah.
just around Easter.
Mhm.
So April to when?
October.
And Saturday 10 to 5?
I would push it later than that, but that's just me.
I think 5 sounds reasonable.
And
If
Sunday?
there are other places available.
Sunday?
One of the most of stores closed, 6?
Oh, no, 7,
Seven.
summer, and when people come off the beach, that's when that area is the busiest. Is that 4 to 7 time period
Yeah, that's true.
on Saturdays. Oh.
That's true.
I didn't know if that's
I
one way
would-
we could utilize this,
yeah.
like a part-time employee to stay a longer, the end
Well,
shift.
the way I'm seeing it, we said what we're looking for, and then they'll have to go back and assess on, so what does that mean, staff-wise?
Right.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm happy to work with the
Yeah,
librarian.
that's what I'm saying, I don't think we need to solve that, we just want to set, what are the expectations?
We may come back with a request for a second
Yes.
part-timer.
Exactly.
Even if that's a summer part-timer.
Yes.
Or a seasonal part-timer, and then we come back maybe for the Christmas season as well, when there's all sorts of kids in town, things like that, for the evening hours.
So I would propose 10 to 7 on Saturday, and, I think you said 1, but 12 to 5, or 1 to 5, or whatever. I don't have a start time, doesn't necessarily, but the 5, I think, is the ending.
Well, let's say
I would
one
like to
o'clock.
actually like to make a proposal for y'all to think about. I'd like to take that part of the pond.
I got a question. Would that work if you had a second part-timer to help out with those kind of crazy hours? Hey, I don't want to put too much.
No, but I'm thinking to help offset the cost of that first
Well, I
part.
mean, I get that, but I just want to make sure that she feels comfortable with it because
And
it's a lot more work.
Well, I have, just in the upper end, okay, and I'm talking about down there, at the bookstore, they've had, when this past Friday, like, they just had a slug of people coming in to
Yeah.
use the
It
restroom.
is,
That's on this end, which seems shocking to me, but.
You
well,
talking
that's why I'm
about the
proposing.
gas station bookstore?
Yeah.
Peach Street, yes.
That's why I'm proposing the
Yes.
porta potties be located at Strawberry Street Plaza, because Lemon Tree and,
No.
like the candy
Right,
company,
and
for
that's
example.
what I told them, that was what we were anticipating, and
Well,
here were the
yeah.
places that people could go
Yeah.
now, but she
I
was
think
having
we,
a lot
I
of.
think we need something on that end.
And the other thing, it has been in the past, but it's never really been publicized, is the fire department's restrooms. They said they were actually going to sign their public restrooms for a donation bucket for the fire department this year, so.
Well, one of the things that Main Street wants to do is have a list of what those restrooms are. And I know the firehouse has never been listed even.
Well, it should be because it's our building,
Yeah.
it's not theirs. In reality.
Yeah.
So am I hearing correctly that with the increased level of service, which again kills two birds, the bathroom bird, and increasing people who come into the library, the people who go into the library also as an information center, because they both do all sorts of.
Just 7 o'clock seems very late to me. I mean, are we gonna hold a library building with the staff for people that are going to the restroom, coming from the beach or coming?
We'll work on that, because I also think 7 o'clock is late. I think if you're going to a dinner crowd, I think the dinner facility needs to provide a place for you.
I think so too.
They do.
Well, but then that is their responsibility.
Well, even the summertime, having worked there in Kelly, it's
I
like
was
that.
just basing it on when the shops are.
Yeah.
Because my concern about, you know, our crew needs to do as little as possible is clean it up after drunks, in whatever that capacity is.
Well,
Not a place
I
to serve
agree with
them.
I
that.
agree too, but
I think, so you got, here,
Beach truck.
Drunks.
in my experience,
We don't respect the facilities that are provided for. Let them disrespect the place where they got drunk, not the public works crew.
in,
Well, I said it.
and 90% of the people will be there either on the golf course, in a boat, on the beach, during the
They're
daylight.
not gonna be there shopping.
They're not gonna be here shopping. The shopping's gonna come after that's done, and typically, realistically, any other tourist town you go into, all the stores are open until 9 and 10 o'clock at night. We're the only town that closes at 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Well, they don't do that anymore in the summer. There's such a,
That's
there's a lot to get that.
Yeah.
It's like giving blood.
One thing at a time.
All right,
Let's
Are we
move
ready to
on.
move?
let's move on.
I'm glad we had questions, man.
Any more questions on the library? Going once? Going twice? Sold. Planning. Anybody got any questions on planning?
Yeah, I had done their consulting, we talked last time when this first came out about the amount for comp plan update. If the 4,000 isn't used here for the current years, does that roll?
No.
Well, it should, because we're gonna need about $20,000 worth of assistance from PDC. I mean, we haven't booked any PDC hours yet.
Yeah, but we also talked about having a consultant using to hold our public meetings.
Sure enough.
So I think this needs to be reviewed as far as how we're gonna tackle.
We want 5,000 from the manager, from management consulting? I mean, because I don't know what I'm gonna spend that on, to be real honest.
And that's fine, I'm just saying, I want to be able to say, if we go to this other consultant to hold public meetings, I don't know how much it costs, but it may not fit in right here, and this could be spread over 2 years.
Well, and also he has a contingency fund.
Well,
It could, Paul, that could also be another 16,000. What did we do? When we did the, we revised it, it took us 2.5 years?
Well, remember, with delays.
What was that, do you remember roughly what it was?
I wanna say 18.
Yeah.
I think 18 sticks in my head, but.
I mean, we went through, and we had multiple, she came to our public hearings, if anybody ever showed up.
All right, I'm just looking at, it's not solely the PDC, some fraction of PDC and perhaps some other consultant.
But we don't want to short you because the Crystal Newport people and the historic plan are coming from yours.
Yeah, they're already paid for, and then I paid for our management consultant.
Well, that's what he said, is an
Right,
extra
but-
$5,000 in
Yeah,
the
$5
budget
grand
that
they
shift
were-
over.
Okay, but we were also gonna go into that next year and the next step in that, right? So I didn't go back and double check that we have enough money in it.
Yeah, 18,000 for finish,
Okay.
for the regular fund, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's not the management
Okay.
consultant, I don't know.
Okay.
So in theory, probably,
Okay.
it's, 21, if Larry says his budget, I mean, his
Okay.
should be enough, more than enough for that year.
16.
Yeah, 16 plus 5. You need it.
Making a leap of faith that most of it's done by June 30th, 2020. And that is a leap of faith.
Would that would be awesome, because we took a long time to get to last time.
No chickens.
Yeah, don't bring up chickens. Chickens took 3 months.
No chicken zone.
Anyone plan involved?
That's all.
Utility fund.
General fund?
25 minutes.
Utility.
Utility, yeah.
So this first sheet that we talked about, I think we talked about last time, did we pick one or the other, or?
Which one, where
What
you
are
at?
we talking about? When they handed this out to us?
Yeah.
No.
I'm still
It's the
on
first sheet. And
Page
the
23.
utility budget.
page 22.
Rates.
Is
22.
this really revenue that we're talking about here?
This is rate, the rates are coming through.
No, it's a write down of the cost or the facility.
Yeah, but, okay, so which are we gonna do?
Page 22.
A or
Which
B?
is, I don't know which is the budget based.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm asking.
Oh, okay.
That's gonna be on our town council meeting for you to decide which one you're gonna do, A or B.
But is one of them selected for what's in here, revenue?
What is your question?
And two rate structures here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which rate structure is reflected right now in the revenue stream?
For this operation.
Yeah.
Remember, they're dependent on an option for a loan, or not an option for a loan. So this has got nothing to do with this year, it's got to do with next year.
So I mean, the revenue's gonna be the same, it's just,
One
are we
doesn't-
gonna subsidize part of it?
That's the point. One causes you to raise
Yeah.
rates more.
But
than-
that number has to go, the subsidizing number will go in the budget.
All of it, correct.
Yeah.
So it covers both of them.
Yeah. So it's not in there.
Revenue, there's no revenue?
No, the subsidizing number, because it is, no, I don't know.
There you go again, you get that contingency utility fund, $29,000, so we just took that money through somewhere? Or was that used for something? 6,900. And we actually have 0 in there for, this year. $29,746.07.
Yeah, water sales and sewer charges, right? 1.57 million.
Yeah, so the question was, what rate structure is that number based on?
Both of them.
Rate increase.
Right, one's like, exactly, one's like a, whatever it is, $12 rate. One's another rate increase, the other one's a $6.81 rate increase or something.
This is water rate, so this is all the money that is required divided by all the accounts, and that's what you pay, it's what everybody pays.
Right, but this page right here?
Yeah.
How-
Now, the rate that goes to the person is, if we don't do anything, is gonna be $119.93.
I understand that.
And if we subsidize it,
I understand that.
but the revenue is the same in either case.
I understand that, but there will also be, besides that revenue number will have a section of it that is the subsidized dollar.
I'm
Right.
thinking,
If-
You're saying it should be in a separate line.
I'm just saying, is it subsidized or is it not? Or is it just the revenue, the pure revenue number?
well, considering the water sales went down by 0.5%, maybe it's just the current rates. There's nobody, we haven't approved anything yet. It may be, until we approve it, that may just be the current rates. What do you think, Larry? Right here, like I'm saying, these rates here, we haven't approved any of these rate increase, we'll keep the rates the same.
Right.
That's probably the current, at the current rates,
Water sales, yeah, exactly.
because it ain't gone up, the sewer charges has only gone up 1.7%, and the water sales has dropped 0.5%.
How can
So
water
I'm thinking
sales,
it's the current.
Well, when the
how
comment
can water
says,
sales drop and get a brewery tent using 900 gallons per batch? How's that going?
I mean, it says rate increase, capital improvement reduction, or capital improvement loan necessary beside, I think this is beside water sales on 1501.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, that would mean it's with the reduction that it's at the current rates, right?
Right.
right.
That's what I just read, this right here. It said, why do we have this in here?
There it is right here, 50. So if you add 50,000, the 50,000 increase to the budget, it's 319.
Yes. Current rates.
Just so we know.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm just saying.
We
I don't know.
more.
No, the utility funds, both utility funds are running $106,000 deficit. So you can subsidize that with a loan to the tune of 60 grand, and then the deficit is what, 40-some thousand? Or you cannot subsidize it at all, in which case ratepayer, mom and pop ratepayer is picking up that whole $106,000 deficit.
Okay, so did I misunderstand? The number that's here on water sales is not the current rates then? It's a rate that's subsidized?
Well, we haven't set a rate yet, so it's going in as a current rate. If the current rate is what it is, the water sales are gonna lose its money.
Okay,
The sewer charges are gonna
but yeah.
gain us some money, but then we're gonna lose money on the capital projects charges out of that fund.
Okay.
So basically, we have to set a rate sheet.
Right.
Well, I understand that, but our budget was gonna be based on either the same rate or a different rate. So
Well-
it's based on the same rate.
It's based on the same rate.
Right.
Okay, okay.
Right, but and that's what options A and B are showing, that, to close that gap, we either close that gap strictly user pays, or we close that gap subsidizing plus user pays, the subsidy plus user pays, which then lessens the cost of the monthly increase.
But I don't see on that sheet how much we're paying. If we subsidize, how much is that amount?
The differential is that $60,000 loan.
60, yeah, 60,000.
Okay.
Right. So we're either gonna be short $106,000, or we're gonna be short $46,000. And if we're short $46,000, that gives us whatever it is, the $4 increase, and if we're short $106,000, that gives us that, whatever it is, $14 increase. Because a dollar is what, about 14,000? Ballpark? Maybe that's a dead question. A dollar on the utility rate gets us about $14,000?
Yeah, that would be right, yeah.
Was that, I mean, is the water rate with the brewery, with the water they use? They gotta use at least 200,000 gallons of water.
You better.
Yeah,
I think this brewery's using about 50 or 60.
that's it. That's 50 or 60,000 gallons. Over, what is that, about 60,000 gallons a year? I mean, 600,000 gallons a year.
Yeah, they just have that.
Yeah.
It doesn't include sewer charges.
Yeah, it doesn't, yeah, it's just water charges, not sewer.
Right.
So we then increase it, I mean, since the water numbers were in.
It doesn't matter. 60,000 gallons, I mean, we're losing 2 million gallons a month.
No, we're treating
We're treating more.
some of the process.
And the engineering services, both on water and sewer, kind of just earmarked, or do you have particular uses for those right now? The 30,000 in water and sewer for engineering and professional services for each, just place marked right now, or do you have a specific
The
What number?
engineers are looking at,
25 in this page?
doing a study for the expansion of the water plant and the wastewater plant, just what it, you know, what it will cost us right now.
Okay.
We're going to do that.
So one of them you list as a PER, one of them you list as a study, is there really a difference?
We're not sure, well, no, it's the same thing. We just don't know if they're actually just do like a memorandum or if they'll actually do a PER, so we're not really sure where they're gonna go with it. And
But that's for expansion of both plants.
Yes. Or neither.
Neither like now, right? And someday,
At some point, we gotta do it. Right now, might be available.
So, under advertising services, I'm just curious, did you used to have to publish the water flushes, like in
Well,
water flushes? Did you used to have to publish that somewhere? It says,
yeah, we're not running that in the paper anymore.
it
We
was
just
in the
do it
paper
online.
before? Okay, yeah,
Right.
makes sense.
and we have chemicals, we got fluoride now in the air, so that's a jump.
Is that the big jump in the chemicals?
See. Teeth straight.
Too late.
And then also utilities. Sewer?
I think everybody's waiting till we get to the capital projects, which one I can get to.
We're just gonna just jump to capital projects?
I'll remind you again about the potential for part of that deficit on the water and sewer both. We've got tourism zone refunds to the tune of almost $30,000. So just saying, maybe that happens. Maybe it does, or $25,000 anyway. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. So that would account for almost $2 on the bill, on the bill increase. If nobody collects a dime of it, want to do ourselves a favor, you know, don't have a tourism zone anymore, but don't have tourism zone incentives anymore. But if people aren't, fact is people aren't collecting, they're not applying for things. So maybe at the end of the year, then the next year that 14,000 is still there, maybe that 14,000 has been spent down. But again, either way, that eats into that deficit. On the water side, it's page 24, 501, 4501, 5,000. Basically 2/3 down the page, $9,750. And on the sewer side, it's page 26. Yeah, still 5,000, 14,950. So that's actually kind of real money.
Yeah, because they're already going.
There'll be some of it.
Yeah.
There'll be some of it.
When do they usually apply for these tourism?
When they need to.
Yeah, they just need to, like I said, it needs to be communicated. A lot of our new businesses coming in don't know anything about it.
Now, each of these water and sewer also have reserve for plant expansions, facility fees. Is this part of our fees that are going into a reserve fund or restricted fund?
That's correct.
Yeah, so
And is that settled?
not into the
But is that
Cloud.
a set percentage? How do you get to that?
It's all of it, it's all of it.
All of the facility fee.
Yeah.
A little bit is broken out for
Oh.
some administrative fee that I think that goes to, I think. Jim
Okay, I
says.
see, I see.
But the lion's share of the facility fees of that 12,600, whatever it was, 12,350 for a residential goes into this pot. These
But it's
respective pots.
1875 or whatever it is, Davis connection fee.
No, it's 12.6.
It's two pieces, it's connection fee and a facility fee. 1875 connection fee, that goes to public utilities, and then the facility fee goes into the reserve
Okay.
for plant expansion.
Really doesn't seem to be much that we can adjust within these.
Get that.
There doesn't seem to be much we could adjust
Hardly any.
within these two budgets.
Right.
Unless somebody comes and applies for it. Unless somebody applies for it. I mean, that's the thing, I know Harvey's
We
gonna.
have terrible, we have such debt service, we can't do anything with that, because that's driving, hundreds of thousands of dollars in that. The rest of it's just running the plants, I mean.
I recommend that it would be a bad practice to start tapping into that fee. And start tapping into those revenues to
Yeah.
pay operations.
No.
Over my dead body.
No, that's a bad approach, then.
Hands off on those.
You know.
Utility billing.
Back in front.
Well, you pay 28.
Okay, there we go. I mean, this is basically Kathy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, basically Kathy's operations.
next.
Next, harbor fund revenues.
All right, so this is where I started getting into down at the bottom, second from the bottom, the account transferred from general funds. We have a number there, okay, it covers debt service, whatever, but we also had the appropriation from fund balance, which we had the sweeper, trail project, library, and then two harbor accounts.
Yep.
I'm not sure that there's, I couldn't reconcile these numbers. These numbers keep repeating, and I've got to follow it through even with the new version, but I had an open item for that 900,000, and this is part of that open item. Just maybe it's the language that we're using or whatever.
Yeah, you're probably looking at line item of 7060 on page 32. Because that's the public infrastructure breakwater miscellaneous. It's probably all lumped into that number. Just from a debt service.
Yeah, but when I go into, for instance, under the appropriation for fund balance, we have town match for inshore breakwater. So where is that coming from, for 125? We never talked about that on the revenue side. And reappropriate the remainder of the offshore breakwater number 4, we extended it out to 735. I don't know what we're gonna have left over there, if anything.
I think 7085 the ADOC.
Yes.
Yeah, that's ADOC. That's
Yeah, inshore breakwater wall, yeah, that's the ADOC, our
Yeah.
share of the grant, assuming we get the grant and all that. Now, we get the grant and, if we're awarded $100,000 in that grant, then we have to think hard about whether the town wants to spend the rest. If we're awarded $375 in that grant, then everything we've talked about is actually, played out the way we expected it to play out. So that line at the end of the day may wind up being 0 if the proportion of grant funds to our funds are something that council.
Which is the reason the breakwater cut.
That was one of the reasons.
Year and year.
That was one of them.
Yep.
When did we find out that type of information, Larry, do you know?
Yeah, Bob, actually, Bob had a
If we
conversation.
get a grant,
Yeah.
that's right around the 16th or 17th.
Yeah, that's from the Port Authority, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bob's been having some discussion with their staff. seem to be favorably inclined, but I don't know if that's favorably
Well,
inclined.
it may be less, who knows, it's beginning.
And Breakwater 4 is done this year.
Hopefully, what that's closed out this year.
Well, because I reflected here also in 2020.
We have to take into consideration that it doesn't.
But is it rollover money into 2020?
Yeah,
You have to
I
reappropriate.
think Bob didn't think that it was gonna be all expended this year.
Again, we'll find out.
We asked for a carryover.
I mean, he's got his rocks out there right now, so he's moving pretty quick.
Yeah.
That's the point.
What are those are for the breakwater?
The ones that are on this side,
Oh, I thought that was for the bulkhead.
Yeah, there are, they've been.
they're ours.
I thought that was bulkhead too.
So I guess, yeah, they are expecting it to happen then.
Yeah.
No, they're right there, the guy gonna make, this is,
No, but that's what I mean, they must have very high expectation it's gonna come through.
All right, I have to come back and think about this.
Well,
There's these two numbers, this fund balance and the transfer from the general fund, and then wherever.
Well, that's what I was saying, I think it's
Equal
coming,
900
It's
is not
correct,
that.
that's all I'm saying.
well, that's what I'm saying, I think it's coming from that 70-60 line. There's a lot of stuff in there for previous breakwaters.
Okay.
right, and
And I think that's part of it.
yeah.
there's actually two different things going on there with 6,000 and then a new account transfer from fund, from general fund, which I guess doesn't have a chart account number yet. That's specifically from the general fund. And the 102,872, again, rears its, third time rears its ugly head. That's just something we have to do to cover their debt load.
And that's fine, I found that number in appropriations.
Right, and then the doctor repairs of 125 is actually, again, with the sale of lots 12 and 17.
And that's under appropriations too, I got that.
That's all gonna be infused into the general fund. The appropriation from fund balance, my expectation is that that's out of the harbor fund and not general fund money anymore.
I might have to have Deb to make a little diagram of that for me, of like what all's in that fund balance with these
Yeah,
different.
it's a lot,
Because I'm a little bit lost on
I
that.
think there's a lot more.
I understand it because the concept, but not looking where the real numbers are falling.
Yeah, it makes it hard, as Paul says, to piece it together.
The general fund is actually easier to follow because we do a lot less carryover. There's a harbor fund carryover because we don't finish the projects out in the fiscal year. It becomes, that's a tougher flow chart. But if you want to know that, and again, she'll be back.
Yeah, you'll probably get a nice little 8.5 out of the spreadsheet.
I don't want a spreadsheet, I need pictures.
Yeah.
Boxes and arrows.
Right, boxes and arrows, exactly.
Okay, so this line on the harbor revenue for line 1,000, Leith's Restaurant, 0, property sold, is that premature?
Where are we at? Page?
I'm on old page 29, maybe that's changed on new page. Harbor,
No, it's still the same as new page.
Wharfage, lease.
no,
Property sold. Property ain't sold.
yeah,
Just found $6,000.
Beautiful.
In the middle of page 20.
Isn't sold.
What's the one,
1,000. Yeah, but it's in between 15, 20, and 4,000, oh, it's 3,400, 1,000, 3,400.
Oh, so we get our 6 back.
oh, this one.
Dockage fees, 215 to 224. We raised the rates, is that just the rate increase?
Raise the
And
rates.
level
The current.
business?
Yep. Same thing with the wharfage.
Yeah, you
We
get the-
we should be cleaning up the wharfage this time of year, but the March numbers, close of business March numbers on wharfage were still poor. So it's like 12%.
That's, I'm gonna
It's a nice
talk on
sum
these,
of money.
I'm gonna talk on the rates a little bit. You increased the minimum slip size, and you also increased from $1.75, or $1.67, I think it was, is when you're getting to $2 a foot. And we're only increasing $9,000.
Conservative.
That's,
Conservative estimate.
So we're gonna get votes in there.
Well,
Well,
it's
I
full
was
every
doing
weekend to the summer, pre-booked.
I was doing some rate comparison of hours and doing Cobb and doing Harbor and everything else, just comparing, because I want to see where we're at in the ballpark and stuff. And I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit shocked, because I thought minimum slip combined was for all leases is what you all voted on.
Right.
But on the town website, it only says for the 12-month leases, it's not for the 6-month leases.
Huh?
Oh, that's not what.
You look at the website, you pull it up right now, you look at the rates on the website, but that's,
So, you're hosing the long-term guy, not the short-term guy.
And it was supposed to be the opposite.
Correct. And there was
That was the whole idea.
There was a whole purpose of that. It's not to mess with the locals, but get the.
Right, so just like transient.
Exactly.
Transient occupancy.
We'll check the text, because maybe the text is messed up, or we're
Website's
actually
wrong.
doing what we're,
Transposed in some way.
yeah.
Yeah, but make sure,
surprise me.
well,
No,
especially before they sign any contracts, because then they're gonna have that rate. I mean, how you get over, if something's published, you gotta be careful with that.
That's
well, I mean, yeah.
more eyes to that.
Because it was supposed to be the short term.
Yeah, mortgage fees is what it is. That's been regulated right now to nothing.
Councilman Bennett, we have about 2 minutes.
We got 2
2 minutes
minutes.
of capital projects.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anything, y'all have anything else
You
on
got
harbor?
questions on sanitation?
On the harbor,
Oh, you're on harbor.
I have
Sorry.
one question.
Just do it.
Under advertising services, it's page 3,500. Just a side kind of note, I would love to know what our marketing plan is. I don't understand what fishing tournament publication and banners, what that really is. But do we have a marketing strategy for?
Probably not a strategy, but I know Charlie advertised in a bunch of the
Fishing
Yeah, fishing
magazine,
magazine.
Pop Talk, Spring Sheet.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So where does, I noticed recently that there's a bunch of merchandise that doesn't seem to be branded in any way for Cape Charles. Where does,
That's probably right. It's whatever it is that, what does it say? Harbor Life, Vault Life?
Harbor?
No, it's just Harbor Life.
Harbor Life, there you go.
Sounds like Groundhog Day, the same questions last year.
That's kind of our harbor brand.
Well, you know, I'm a little bit curious. Well,
I like the latitude and longitude sign.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I deserve
We have, black drum monuments,
Right, that was my other question.
a weight station and fish display.
Yeah.
They're all,
Page 31.
31,
47, 13, 6100,
6100, right.
But that was my other question.
because we didn't have a fish here.
Right, I just didn't know what that was.
So anyway,
I guess this is the woman who cut.
this is kind of a main
Betty
thing.
Hall.
So is Betty Hall.
Yeah.
It was a monument at the harbor,
Yep.
with a large black drum. She's,
Yep.
I forgot how she, but anyway, she caught 111 pounds, the largest black drum in the state, that's ever been caught. And back in the early 80s to mid-80s, people vandalized it, tore it up and broke it. And she's asked and asked and asked to see if the town would ever put it back. And I don't know who she asked and when she's asked. This is what she told me last Wednesday in my.
It was out there at the beach.
Huh?
It was out there at the beach.
Well, she said it was at the harbor.
Yeah, it was at the beach.
Okay. Anyway, she asked
it.
if.
She's 93. She's 93 too, I think also.
I know, I thought she was in her 90s, but I'm not sure. But anyway, she asked if the town would put the money back, so. I said, you know what, we've got a world record, it's a story talker.
Do I need a weight station?
Well, the weight station, I'm thinking he's got for fish tournaments.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. too.
But that adds together, so like the monument's a certain, I'd love to know what the monument cost is
Break it down.
and the weight station cost, because the monument, I
And
think.
make sure that's what it is, because I'm the only person I told her, she, I'm looking through there. I didn't say that.
My guess would be the weight station would be for the fishing tournaments.
Yeah.
Right, sure. Just curious the difference.
I don't think this black drum monument had anything to do with Betty Hall and what it's in here, because I'm the person I've talked to.
Oh, so you don't think that is what?
No, I didn't say anything.
Because I support what you're
Charlie's talked about updating that many times.
Okay,
The recognized Betty Hall.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Good.
All right, I'm done, sorry.
Yes, for the new fiscal year, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
For July 1, yeah.
Got it.
We've already lost too much money.
Okay, I had a kind of one dumb question, if I could indulge Mr. Bennett. So what do you think the real operating expense of the harbor is without the breakwater and the capital stuff all piled in there? That's an easy question.
Say that, ask that question
Okay,
again.
well, in here, you know, there are things we were talking about this black drum business and all that sort of stuff, but over here on page 32, when we start talking about the breakwaters, there's 1,011,000, 1,011,000, there's that number. There's some more docks and miscellaneous, 125. And I was just wondering, what does it really take to operate the harbor? Not with any extra big capital projects in mind, but like just the core of it. I was trying to come up with some number here by just subtracting things, but I don't trust my. So we had fund balances added and general fund added, and Port Authority grants in there. That looks about 700, 800, 900,000 or something like that. 636. And our expenditures are 1.9.
I thought we were supposed to get something backed out with all that capital.
I didn't really have a good number in my head for what does it take to really operate the harbor?
Yeah, I'm happy to ask Deb and Charlie to back up everything that's a capital project relation. Because it's probably going to be ballpark 800,000 and some change. And then if you go and you look at that, 300,000 of that's just goes field.
Sure.
So we're buying. So the actual operation is probably $300,000-$400,000.
Yeah, basically, it should be your income, and you should have your cost of goods sold underneath that, and you should have your gross net, and that's the cost of goods sold, and then you put your expenses underneath that, and that's your gross profit.
I was just trying to oversimplify, okay, and not because I don't have a good understanding about what it really takes to operate the harbor when we have so many, and they're all good projects going on that are flowing in and out, money coming crossways into that account and then going out and expenses, operationally speaking. So that would be helpful for me, especially if we are ever going to look at or hear from anybody who would offer us any other options. I wouldn't know how to evaluate it.
Yeah, it's actually kind of important because it's one of the reasons why I asked Deb to put the dockage information in there in the monthly revenue, so we knew exactly what was coming in, what was going out, so we actually can see what we physically had coming in, at least from a money standpoint. But I thought we also talked about it sometime, I don't know if it must have been with Brent, we were supposed to back that out so we could find out what the true number was. Which is
We
all the
talked about
capital
that when we
expenditure.
first got, when we all first.
Steve and I have been after this for a while.
I mean, it's pretty processes, what I just said, down underneath that, the grants revenue, and then your stuff, I don't think they can be separated out.
We did that for the harbor. In the long run, that's the smart way to do the whole budget, is to just get all the operational stuff sifted out from the capital.
Yeah.
For capital, can we get line item 760 and 785 reconciled to the notes? You know, here I've got $1 million and I have no note saying what that breakdown is, and then I've got on the second one 125,000, but the notes add up to 800,000. So if I can break out what is included in each.
Oh. It's 9:35. You still want to hit the capital real quick, Ted, or you want to go?
There's your old page. Okay, I see that. I don't page. Yes.
But once you kill the street sweeper,
Yeah.
I would consider it killed.
Yes, I think that's probably.
Like reappropriation says 681, where reappropriation.
All the judges,
you wanna, hey, look, you just wanna go through this list real quick on the capital, this front page list?
So that just goes back into the fund balance, though. Is that the best and only use for that money?
What's that?
Street sweeper using sanitation fund balance.
Unless you use council's preferences to do something else with that money sitting in there. I got a sanitation fund that you, me, and the Grand Piano don't know why we have it. So,
Why don't we use that to offset the water fee?
I think it's enterprise fund.
change it, and no one knows even what the revenue stream for it was.
I don't know.
Instead of taking one, why don't you use that
Never use
instead?
it.
I can't even imagine.
Probably buy a new truck.
That's what I'm thinking.
Sanitation, I mean, that's trash pickup.
That's almost everything.
And that is always balanced every year.
Right.
She
And
might
we're
have got-
adjusted to make it balance.
Well, I'll tell you, I've got
Well,
my,
she's found some stuff over the years. that-
I've got
That's one of them.
Yeah.
I've got my thought process on the,
No,
on the sanitation.
no, but we didn't, we
I'd
were,
like to
we
hear
were.
it there, Mr. Mayor.
But I would like to do a little more research on recycling.
On what?
Recycling.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about that.
And that sanitation fund could go back into sanitation and purchase cans.
Or offset the cost of the water bill. Either way.
Water bill is the water, that's a whole separate enterprise fund. So sanitation, trash, we're talking trash.
We're always talking trash.
Well, but you might be on something. So if we subsidize a bit,
The sanitation, the trash pickup, the net effect to the citizen is a lower utility bill.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Yes, because part of that
Plus that,
fund
plus that in
is.
recycling.
But you could subsidize that.
and that would, it would offset the increased cost.
That's like a bar.
Exactly.
Offset the increased cost of the other.
Yeah.
So we're killing, that's one way of kind of moving the money and kind of work with
It
it.
stayed in the same fund.
No, stay in the same fund.
But to the consumer,
Yeah,
It's-
their bottom
It's all
line.
the same, percent. Look at it.
It's basically like a bill.
Y'all keep telling yourself that and staying in the same fund.
Trash, trash.
It is in the same fund, it's a sanitation fund.
It's a sanitation fund, so.
Yeah, but
We're reducing it.
The trade bill is like heavily subsidized.
Yes.
Yeah,
So we can,
Subsidize it, which
Continue to
would
run.
increase the others. which
Poorly,
would go down.
but not really.
Well, no, because we can still increase the water side of it, but.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
utility funds.
That's what I'm saying. It's not staying in the same fund.
No, but we covered, we killed two birds with one stone.
Oh, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you, but as far as the fact that it's staying in the same fund.
Because then it's actually almost like, it's like,
I like that.
you can think of it
I
as,
do
it's
like that.
almost like a small tax break, in
Yeah.
a goofy kind of way.
If you put,
But when that goes away,
right,
then there's
Well,
gonna be
I'm
no,
not saying a bunch, I'm just saying. it could be
yeah, we may wanna do it at keep it the
Well, in 3
same,
years, do it in 3 years,
do it, yeah, or keep it at a same,
my term's up.
yeah.
No, but realistically, if we went with just a across the board $2 increase this year, subsidize the difference on the trash, and then the next year, whatever it is.
Well, whatever it is, you just gotta be careful, because when it's gone.
It's gone.
It's gonna rear
But
its
you
head.
want it, no, but you want it to be, you
Yes.
want it to go on a plate to know when it's gone,
Right,
that you're only doing that same amount the next year.
correct.
Does that mean we
I changed my mind,
Does that
I
mean-
don't want to stay long enough to do the capital projects.
Does that mean we would look at recycle then?
How much is recycling? It was $16?
Somebody said, he said.
Yeah, it was something like that, $16 extra. Actually,
That's
it was
a lot.
9, it was 9.
nine, everybody in.
But everybody's got to do it, the whole town's got to do it.
Well, you guys donate your $26.40.
And we got to buy the cans.
$46.
And they don't take glass.
Mm.
They don't take glass.
It's basically paper,
China
paper,
stuff.
plastic?
China stopped taking it.
No,
No plastic?
some plastics. Maybe, I don't know if it's plastic, but the one that killed it for me was the glass, no glass.
No, that's pretty much what he said right now, you can't do glass.
I'd
But
love
everything-
to know about plastic.
Everything else for
Plastic
garbage,
should be
Everything but garbage and glass can go into one container and they can be separated.
So you're talking paper and metal and.
Aluminum, paper, plastic, all that stuff can go into one container. Huh?
I'm sure it's certain.
Number 1 and 2, when we have them in number 1 and 2.
No food line bags.
Finish.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?